All right, guys. Welcome to Viability Drop Zone Podcast for another episode, and we have a couple of special guests, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Yes, I'm Lynn Esposito, and I'm a realtor with Vibe Realty, as well as a realtor in Florida.
I didn't know that. Hi, I'm Madeline King. I'm an independent transaction coordinator.
Perfect. Yeah, and it's funny because we everybody's always nervous, and so we have a drink to start out usually, and people kind of loosen up as we get to going. You guys will be fine. It's just chatting and talking. So everybody's sort of guarded. We talked a little bit about that. It's like, guarded, maybe I shouldn't say that. And listen, there are no rules, and they also edit these podcasts. So, you know, if it's something that's really harmful, they'll edit that out.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, because I have a potty mouth, and there's no telling what I'm going to say. So super opinionated.
Nobody knows, but I have a potty mouth as well.
Do you really?
I can hold it in, yeah.
Nice.
Usually.
I can't.
That's
Like,
fine.
I don't have that ability.
Well, I have two small kids, and I try not to because
So when
they
they go to
repeat everything.
I think I probably did when my kids were smaller,
Yeah.
too. I'm sure I did. And now I'm an empty nester, and
yeah.
I live on the lake, so everybody's always,
You
know.
live on the lake?
I do.
Can I come?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
anytime.
Which lake?
Altoona.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, but everybody up there is so free and open.
It's
and
great.
Yeah, most of us are older and empty nesters, and so we're not guarded about anything,
Yeah.
you know, and it's been super freeing.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a houseboat?
I don't have a houseboat. I have a house on the
water?
lake,
That's
and,
so
and a
nice.
couple of, like a Yamaha boat, and then I have a Ranger fishing boat. So.
That'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband and I once, he's an artist, and we visited an established artist over there. They invited, we were just like, oh, just very like,
Yeah.
this is for me.
Yeah.
And they had a houseboat. They had a house on the water. They like gave us cheese board spread. We were like, we are
incredible.
feeling right at home.
Yeah, it's amazing how hospitable and you know
Very nice.
and Lynn and Ricky have a beach house, so it's the same it's the same
Okay,
vibe
I'll come
at
visit you
Navarre.
there.
Yeah, it's the same thing, man. It's just I don't know. You feel sort of like you're on vacation, you know.
Which we've talked about that. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
Vacation
kind of
all the
hard.
time.
Like, it is that the mentality of that you're on vacation
Yeah.
all of the time.
Yeah.
So it's I remember Rick asking Andrew, I think we were sitting on the beach, he was like, dude, how long did it take you and Bradley to, like, once you were at the lake house,
Yeah.
how long did it take you to feel like you weren't on vacation anymore? And I think you said, like, 2 years.
Yeah.
You're about 2 years.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, but how long have you been there?
Now we've been there 7 years, going into 8.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. Yeah, it takes a while, and then you know, it's kind of like anything. It's like the honeymoon phase, you know. At first you start out and you can't believe it, you know. We were talking earlier about don't guard your kids. Let them live their life so that when they're not under your wing, they transition better.
Yeah.
You know. So I think when you're up there at first, you're like, holy cow, I can drink every day.
Sure.
Like
Right.
literally
Right,
every
it's
day.
vacation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are
And the
walking around,
environment
walking their
feels
dogs
that
with a
way.
drink, and you're drinking. It's
Yeah.
literally vacation, and so you got to figure out. At first, you're like, hell yeah, I can't believe it, man. I'm like, it's adult Disney World. So then you eventually go, okay, you know, now I put pounds on, and I don't feel as good because I'm drinking a lot, and I'm eating shitty, you know, because. You know, when you drink, you eat shitty, you know.
Yeah.
You're not like, I'm going to prep and meal prep for the week and all this. So you go through all of that stuff, and then finally you're like, okay, let's get a routine here.
Yeah.
You know, let's get into, and then when you do, it's wonderful because you still have the routine where you're like, okay, I need to probably exercise and work out and not drink every day, but still, you know, have a cocktail couple times a week with your friends, and then you got the weekends to go out on the lake or stuff. So, and
I was going to say, it gives you justification to drink, though.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not a good
Sure.
thing because, like, okay, well, I want to drink, but clearly I can't keep up with that lifestyle. So
Right.
it's, okay, let's make sure we walk in the morning. Let's make sure we bike in the morning, which,
Yeah.
like, and
100%.
then when you're in that environment where it's, you know,
Yeah.
beautiful
Some kind of
around you
routine.
all of the time,
100%.
go and work out and then enjoy your evening cocktails within, reason.
This is reminding me of just working from home in general, being an entrepreneur, because everything you're saying is something you have to do as an
Same thing.
entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
maybe there's, you know, when you whenever you took the leap to do that? I know for me at first it was like, well, I want to do this. I have the drive, but like, what does my schedule look like?
Right.
And I'm still figuring that out. I mean, every day is
Yeah.
a little different.
Well,
Sure.
I think you do. I think it's sort of a progression thing, you know, like it's kind of like I used to coach little boys, my son, and football. And I love telling the story. I would always tell them, you're going to get hit. It's going to hurt. You're going to feel like you're dying, but you're not, you know. And they understood. They did. But, you know, it's like anything. You know, you've been in car wrecks or you've been there, and it is freaking terrifying, you know. And you've heard it, and academically you know it, but until you go through it, it's the same with everything. You know what you're supposed to do. You know, you start with a plan. I'm going to work from home, or I'm going to live on the lake, or I'm going to live at the beach, or whatever. And here's my plan. And then it just kind of, you know, sort of goes to hell. And then you kind of figure it out and massage it into something that's probably healthier, you know, eventually. But, you know, I mean, it just takes a minute, you know.
Like giving ourselves grace to have that moment
Got to give
to figure
yourself-
it out.
Yeah, you got to give yourself grace. I think it's wonderful because we were, it was cool to go wild for a little while for us, a couple of years. And then now it's wonderful. You know, now we know, you know, how to sort of balance everything.
I was going to say balance is that's
Yeah.
been the word in my brain. Balancing.
Yeah.
You said it's finding that perfect balance. Of
That's it.
Fun and
Yeah.
responsibility and all of it. Yeah.
Still a wonderful
Healthy
life.
lifestyle.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I always say at the mastermind is, you know, I don't believe in like your work and your business life and all that. I think you got one life. I mean, on Judgment Day, you're going to be standing there and there's one reel. You know what I mean?
Right.
It ain't reels. It's the full podcast of your life, you
Right.
know, and it's
Yes.
one. It's not business. It's not this. Everything good, bad, or indifferent. So I'm just kind of like, why do we live our lives like all? It's a human deal.
What, siloed?
Siloed is probably a good term.
Well-
Compartmentalized, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to live my life.
Are we
and
talking about that versus, because like I find I have to have some kind of boundary, especially because I don't want to be the parent that works.
For sure.
And doesn't. I mean, it makes me feel guilty if my kids are homesick and I'm like looking at the computer and they're right there trying to get my attention,
Sure.
even if it's just a temporary thing.
Maddie, how old are you?
I'm going to be 33 in July.
Okay, perfect. So that's what you should be feeling right now.
Yeah.
And you should be fighting those feelings because your kid's going to be okay.
Sure.
And but it's a good normal thing. I think everybody does it, right? When you're younger and your kids you want to be responsible. You love them. It's amazing how much you love those. And you just want to take care of them. And then it comes to that balance. Like I said, it's just all a hodgepodge. It's all one life.
True.
And you sort of figure it out. You don't have to boundary. You know what I mean? My kids are there and I can't work. Yes, you can. You sure can. And in fact, I would submit this. It is actually better for them to see you humping it.
Sure.
I love my kids saw me growing up, you know, and having to bust ass and even on vacations work. Like, nope, y'all go ahead. Dad's got to go back, take a couple of calls because
Sure.
I'm a custom builder is my primary
Yeah.
deal. So I never get vacations. When I leave, I still have to talk to people. This is one of the biggest things in their lives, and I love that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm happy to be I'm not a guy who's like, nope, that's work and this is this. No, I can't do that to them. This is the coolest thing in the world. But you can figure how to put boundaries. And
Yeah.
it takes being honest because I will also turn around to them and go, hey, I'm on vacation. I don't mind talking to you a little bit, but here's the other side. Let me have my vacation. You know what I mean? You don't want to burn me out.
Right.
Because if I do, then I'm going to be a bad builder for you. So you choose, and they're like, oh, no, I will respect your back. You know, I just think that's part of being honest is about that one life. And your kids, work. Hey, I got to work. Otherwise, you feel like crap because you know, I can't afford you medicine or doctors. So I'm going to work and do that. And it's great for your kids to learn that. I love my kids learning that, you know what? Dad has to work. That's why we're on vacation, or that's why we
Absolutely.
get afforded the things we get. And so there's you should not work all the time because then that's some kind of psychology that you're avoiding.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be all kids like we talked
no.
about all the time either, because
Right.
now you're avoiding something else.
Yeah.
And I think I just believe in that one life, and there's always got to be a balance, but it can be great, you know. And I don't know why people get so super compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And I'm not a work at all costs to make all the money in the world. So, you know, I can do this or that. And it's funny hearing justification like, I'll work my ass off and I'll make a ton of money and blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't know your kids. Your kids grew up without you.
Right.
What do they give a shit?
So what was it? What was it all worth?
Yeah, so there's no love. They're
Right.
not just give me money.
Right.
I don't care
Yeah.
about
Right.
you.
You weren't
because
around, so
you're,
hand over
yeah,
the-
you're just a money person.
Yeah.
Give me money.
But I
Yeah.
love what you said. It does make sense. And I've heard the same thing about like cleaning your house, for
Yeah.
instance. Like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to do the dishes,
Right.
vacuum. What? They're going to be upset. You're not holding them. That's fine. They need to see you
Yes.
doing that.
It's a huge
What does it take to have a house? Here it is.
Modeling to me and imprinting is a huge deal that people don't do. And I think we were talking earlier about people being like, you know, overprotective and the parent that's always there and all that. And that's for the parent.
Yeah.
That's not for the kid.
No.
Because I always thought your job is to prepare your kid, teach them how to drink, teach them about drugs, teach them about sex.
Yeah.
And don't lie to them. Sex is amazing. We all love sex.
Well, yeah.
Don't everybody love sex?
I get a hell yeah.
Damn right we do. Now, does that mean you can go and screw everybody? You can. You can try. It's probably going to end down a bad road. So have that conversation,
Yeah.
you know?
Again, there's balance.
Yeah, give them the balance and go, man, because what we talked about, you know, you always see those kids is that, you know, go away to college. I went in the military after, you know, high school and all, and you'd see the kids that were, you know, Jesus Christ, man,
Yeah.
they were out of their fucking minds.
I got lucky, if I'm being honest. Like, I could
Yeah.
have really. I went wild enough.
You said you
So-
were a little bit protected, but
Oh
then
yeah. I was protected, but
yeah. So did you go wild or did you sort of? No, it's
I
not.
did a
it's
little
not
bit of both.
It's not an absolute for sure thing. Some kids are
Yeah.
can be that way and be balanced after, or can have no boundaries.
Right.
And they just balance that. You know, that's the amazing part about this is people are so interesting. You never know. There's not this is going to happen.
Sure.
Right.
People do amazing things.
I think well, okay. I went to Young Harris. You guys know
I
it's
do.
North Georgia. I went there
Yep.
for the first year of college. Let's just say after the first semester, I was put on academic probation not because I was like failing every class,
Right.
but because the ones I was doing really well in, I thought,
Yeah.
well, I don't really need to go to that. I'm going to go
Right.
drink with my friends and sleep at that guy's lake house
Hell
and then,
yeah.
you
Right.
know, not
Yeah.
go to class. And those teachers were like, no, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to withdraw. So the classes I did have,
Right.
I ended up having a 1.6
Wow.
GPA.
That's
I
awesome.
love
Oh,
that.
it was terrible.
I love
so
that.
my car got taken away, and then I'm like, but what am I? But I live in the mountains. Like, how am I going to get around? Doesn't
Right.
matter. And
figure
then
it
I
out.
joined a sorority, which was, again, I'm not a sorority person.
Yeah.
And up in Young Harris, those sororities are not your typical sororities. They're going to go
what
out in
way?
the woods and make you do push-ups and
Oh,
build
okay.
fires
Oh,
and get in the
gotcha.
lake when it's snowing.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that.
Sure.
But I ended up having to drop out of that because I was
Really?
We came home at like 2 or 3 in the morning one night, and I was doing a midterm, and I was just
Yeah.
crying because I was like, but like I need to pass my classes, but
Yeah.
also I'm tired. And
Right.
they understood. They were really nice about it. But yeah, I ended up, after that year, I got it together. I went to Chat Tech for the interim. That's where I met my husband. So
Nice.
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, of course.
And then we both went to Kennesaw. And then I graduated with honors. So it's all good. But like
I
that first
love
year,
that.
yeah, I mean, I smoked cigarettes. I was drinking. I was smoking.
And
Everything
you,
but
And you were
class.
sort of protected until you went away
Oh,
to
yeah.
college. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sort of proves the point, right?
Yeah.
And as to what degree is it? But I think that's what's wonderful about people is you adapt. I mean, people adapt so well to anything, and it can be seriously traumatic things, right? And people are amazing to adapt to stuff. So, you know, it's not the end of the world, but at the same time, and it's not to say even if you do the best thing, education in the world of your kids and have a good balance, that they're still not going to try. They're still going to try stuff.
Sure.
Right.
Skin their
Human nature.
knees and figure it out. Yeah.
Right, but if you
So-
protect them from it, they're going to be like, well, what is that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, cigarettes, good Lord. Yeah, I wish I had never smoked, but I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I smoked for like almost 10 years.
Did you really?
I did.
That's-
I stopped smoking, let's see, well, it was actually right before I got married, so 2019.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a smoking bride.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I really need to. And the only thing that
Be a
got me to
smoking
quit,
bride, but not
right?
a smoking.
Yeah,
Touche.
smoking bride. I love that, right? And so I use those.
You didn't want to be going, hello,
vapes.
doll.
Right.
No, right?
Right.
Hold on,
I
guys.
do.
I need to come out. I need to go take a smoke break because y'all, I never liked the smell.
Yeah.
I never liked the taste. But
What did you like? Just the nicotine, the feel of it?
I think it was, yes. I mean, I was addicted to the nicotine for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it was also a coping mechanism. And it took me a long time to realize that. And my husband smoked too. Not anymore. I tried patches. I tried the gum.
It's interesting you said that. Yeah, they didn't work for you?
No,
You know it's an
just
oral
the vape.
fixation.
Yep. And so the vape helped. And what I did was, I mean, I was down to 0 nicotine at
Yeah.
some point, and I was like, yeah, I could do without it. I could do it if I want.
Yeah.
And then I got pregnant, and then I got morning sick. And I didn't want anything in my mouth.
Oh.
I was like,
Yeah,
that's
or
what
I'd
just
add it-
quit
Or,
everything.
or anywhere else, you know?
Yeah, I can't have it. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So-
figure out what made you pregnant. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Growing up,
this
though,
out, done.
oh, ha ha ha. Growing up, though, the smoking thing. My uncle smoked. I still hear stories about when I was little. I grabbed his cigarette pack and threw it in the trash can and was
Really?
like, "Don't do that." I mean, so I think it was like hammering
Interesting.
into me.
Yeah.
Don't be around it. Don't be near it. Don't touch it. Don't do it. And what did I do?
That's the psychology of it.
My best friend goes, "Hey, I got these Marlboro Reds from my friend's brother.
Oh,
You want to try
Those are
them?"
harsh, too.
Yeah,
Of course I
dude.
do.
Like the
Of
real
course.
thing.
Right?
Right,
yeah,
that
what are
is.
we doing?
We're talking about like Virginia Slims.
Well,
or
then
something.
we like the camels
Like
with the
Marlboro
pink on the
Man.
pack because we thought we were cool.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
are girly and cool.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, something you didn't know about me. There you go.
No, I didn't. Well, it's funny because I always ask too. Tell me something. You kind of preempted me on that.
There you go.
I always say, tell me something I don't know about you. You know, so
There's one.
that is definitely cool. Well, and it proves the point, right? And I'm glad it turned out good, and I think it does for most people because usually you're coming from well-intentioned parents.
100%.
You know, and they're good, they're caring, and the problem is, you know, I think there's a correlation between how much they tighten down on you to protect you, you know, and then how much you spin up, but they're still great people, you know, and they want the best for you, and their lessons are still resonating. But now because you never tried it before, you got to try it. And usually these things that are bad are so good.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like drinking and getting high and sex and,
Yeah.
you know, driving fast cars and for boys fighting. And
Sure.
these really are. And it's funny when I say that, there is something in my head that says, oh, you're not supposed to say it like that. But that's a bullshit thing because
Right.
they are amazing.
We're
Right.
not supposed to
Now,
like it. Right.
yeah. So sex is, you got to figure out, it's better with someone you love and not like, you know,
I had to figure that out the hard way.
well,
for
of course,
sure.
most of us do.
Yeah.
So it's better to figure that out and not have a high body count, you know, because look at all the stuff that comes along with it. Listen, I learn all kinds of stuff now from social media, and I saw this thing the other day of OnlyFans. These OnlyFans girls.
Yeah.
My God.
Ooh, that's
They're talking
yeah.
about body count, and the girls are like, "Oh yeah, I'm at 200 and I'm at 400." I'm like, "What?" And I have an OnlyFans account, and I show my butthole, and so. Well, hold on. Here's the thing. Let me tell you about
yeah,
this. She makes more than all of us combined.
I'm sure she does.
Combined.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making, you know, some of these people are making $1 million a month
That's
showing their butthole.
Crazy.
Man.
And
What
I'm
about like their feet?
I was
I'm-
gonna,
and
probably.
literally was going to say,
Yeah.
how about like a toe? Can
Yeah.
I show my big toe?
there
and
is a
become
thing where they
millionaire?
do feet, and then there's
That's it though. Only
I didn't even know what it was, and I'm
My knee.
I'm not big on social media, so I was playing golf, and somebody in our neighborhood was an OnlyFans girl, and they started telling me, and they're like, and I'm like, Jesus, that's tough, you know, because, you know, my old school mind is like, it's almost like prostitution or something. There's no money in it. It's just a bad road, and it's going to fuck your life up.
Right.
And they're like, well, no, actually, she makes, you know,
She's like putting herself through
40,000
college and stuff
Well,
or whatever.
college. She don't go to college. 40,000 a month.
like,
Nobody
I don't
coming out of
need that.
college makes what she makes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what in the hell?
Yeah.
And it's the new world we live in. So to my point, I'll speak freely about it because it's the world we live in. Why would I
Truly.
want to stop that? I don't want to. That's where we live. You should know about these things. And you got to teach your kids about it. Good luck with that conversation. Don't show.
Right.
Not ready yet.
Mom and dad don't want you showing your butthole on the internet.
Right.
I don't care how much money you make. You know.
Right now, I'm still in the phase of listen to your body.
How old are your kids? How old are you?
2.5 and 1.
Like
Oh, yeah,
potty
you're-
trained.
you're-
Like just
you're-
Yeah, we just did that.
Right.
Like we're
Yeah, you're
Different world.
Yeah, different world for
Yeah.
now, but it'll be on you before you know it. Like
what I keep hearing.
Yeah, my kids are 26 and she's about to be 25, and I remember having the cell phone conversation, the smartphone in middle school.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that starts now. I guess elementary maybe.
I'm
Yeah.
not.
Well, you say no, but I'm going to tell
wanna.
you, it's. I know you don't want to, and I don't
Nor
blame
do
you.
you have to, but it is. Yeah.
Well, you sort of do have to, because
Tell me why.
if you and here's the honest truth about it, because you don't want your kid being the little weird freak that doesn't have a phone. Oh yeah, and I hate that whole philosophy.
Yeah.
But I promise you, my kid is not going to be the jackass that doesn't have the phone, and every kid makes fun of him because of it, and that's the truth. And I'm not that guy. I'm not even on social media. You know me
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you know, and integrity and walk my own path and do those things. There is no chance you can get out of this life without having, like, so in other words, when you're in the game, you have to play the game. And you have to figure out at what level. This is the minutia of it, which is fascinating with kids. And it's obviously true with us too. You know, how do you do that? You know, how do you do it? Because you don't want them having a smartphone, but then, you know, everybody else has it. And then you also think, well, I know where they are.
Right.
I can track them. You know, they can have access to me and all this kind of stuff. And all you're going to do is create this little shit that's out there with his phone, video and stuff, or doing something. And you're like, oh my God, where's the line? And I don't know.
I know.
Right.
They must have some kind of like, you know, they can't download any and every app that they want.
Not a
They
chance.
can't-
I can
So-
promise you they get around every bit of that.
Right.
They,
Little
Never
kids are
mind.
smart.
well, no, and I'm not being like Debbie Downer. I think the way to get around it, and the one I chose, and my kids turned out okay. They're by far from perfect. I love you guys, but
You have great
you know,
kids.
well, I like them. I think they're pretty cool, but you know, they're by far. But I'm telling you, I just tried to teach them. Here's the deal, and not try to prevent it, because every time I thought I would talk to my wife, I'd be like, hey, can we not do something to lock that down? I don't have to worry about it. And she's like, yeah. Now we would talk to our kids about stuff, and they go, yeah, Dad, but here's how you get around it, which is cool because I had an open relationship. They would tell me, yeah, you can, but we just know how to get right around that. I'm like, fuck.
Well, then I might as well not do it.
Might
Right.
as well not do it. Well, how
Right.
about I tell you this?
Yeah.
If you do these things, these are some of the things that can happen. This is what concerns me and why I would want to lock it down. So don't do it. But just know you're screwing yourself ultimately if you don't listen to what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to feel like, okay, how much is he just being the old man, and how much is
Right.
safe and acceptable? But I think educating your kids is the best way, because every time you try and lock it down, they figure something else out.
True. I mean, it sounds like it's the same with technology, sex, drugs,
Everything.
alcohol,
Right.
everything.
100%.
Educating.
100.
And I do want my kid, I want them to be able to, you know, tell me when they're upset, tell me when something
Right.
happens, not be afraid, hey, I tried this or I did this, right?
Ultimately, it's a tough thing, I think. But your kids, you've got great kids.
How
too.
old are
It's the
your
same
kids?
way.
So I have 2 sets of twins. Yeah.
That's
Two.
right. You mentioned that. in the
Two
last
sets.
night.
So
right.
I've
I
got-
went, did she just say?
2 sets
Yes.
of twins, so 21 and about to be 17.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's like you were talking about, like having those conversations and like where, you know, it's that fine line of being a friend and a parent.
Yeah.
And my mom always told me, you can't be their friend. You can't be their friend, but you've got to be their friend. You've got to,
You
like
do.
you just said, you want your kids to be able to come talk
It's
to
a
you.
mix.
Yeah.
I'm not
So-
your friend that's going to be the dumbass that tells you bad advice. I'm
No.
going to be the parent friend that tells you that is honest. And I'm telling you, if you're not honest with your kids, they're going to figure it out, and you
Right.
hurt your relationship. Like
Yeah.
now, I love that I'm older with my kids, and I can talk to them about anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
even if it's weird, uncomfortable stuff, it doesn't matter. Anything.
But you'll find you can talk to them about those weird, uncomfortable things,
Yeah.
but they'll do the same with you. And that's
For
always
sure.
like you said, you want them to come back to you and always talk to you, no matter how weird or freaky or, you know,
Yeah.
it is. You want that relationship. You want
Yeah.
that. You want to be the friend that they are going to come confide in. You want to be the person that they're going to in the middle of the night if they're at a party and
Yeah,
it's
for
gone
sure.
haywire, that they are going to call.
Yeah.
And I feel like my kids, they know me well enough. I'm going to go pick them up.
Yeah.
And they're humans. They're gonna.
It is. They're humans, and that's my one life policy. No work. Work and business is all the same. It's just your life. When you need to work, you need to work. When you need to just not work and be personal, you need to do that. When you need to talk to your kids, you need to be honest and just know they're humans, and you're just guiding them through this life.
Yeah.
You're not trying. You can't protect them and stop them from doing things. And the more you, ironically, I don't know why, but the more you try to, I feel like the more it encourages them to do those things.
Oh, I agree.
What, the more
Wholeheartedly.
you try to say, don't do that.
The more you say
Yeah,
don't,
for
they're
sure.
gonna
Yeah, exactly.
they're gonna
I mean,
run
she does
towards
that
it.
as a toddler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't touch that.
Oh, I want to touch. Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I love the cat video where it's like, "Don't you do it," and the cat goes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And they're like, "Don't you do it?" And it's a damn cat. Think about
So
a
true.
person
Right.
is like 100 times that, and the cat's
Yeah.
like, "Oh yeah,
I mean, don't
Doing
we
it
all?
anyway.
yeah, yeah." We
True.
do.
Or I bet you can't.
Right.
Even
hold
as
my beer.
adults. Yeah.
Watch me.
100% right. We do
And
it.
so that kids do the same thing, and it's
Yeah.
so all right.
It's
Well,
fascinating.
but I got your back.
Yep.
And that's with the
It's
kids.
fascinating. So I think to like take all of this conversation and to translate into business, I think it's the same thing with business. I don't know when it was in my 40s sometimes, but I stopped taking just anybody. I'm like, I don't want to. I won't take somebody if I don't vibe with them.
Oh,
Right off the rip. It's like I don't know about this. And if I think there's any kind of, and I sort of put myself out there more, because because a lot of people are like, well, be guarded and be professional. I'm like, why do I want to do that? I want them to know who I am. In the custom world, I have a very intense relationship with people for 12 to 18 months.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I need them to know who the hell I am because I'm not hiding who I am for a year or a year and a half of my life.
Right.
I'm just not. And I think everybody should be this way. Like, you are who you are, and I think that helps vet it, and it's being honest with people, and I want to know who they are. And a lot of people can't be honest, so I have to now go around and figure out their psychology through their guarded states and what are their defense mechanisms, see who they are, if I can, I mean, I'm definitely not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I try and figure out who people are because I don't want to be in a relationship with assholes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a smart business thing to that because I think you're like, and it's hard because we're all like, man, I need the business. I need the business.
I was
need
just
the
thinking,
money.
but
But once you start getting to the practice where you're like, oh, forget that, you realize, and you've all heard opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Where you realize your opportunity cost is better because now I pick up somebody. Or if I pick up nobody, it's better to be with nobody than an asshole. And I guess
to
that's
be
the same
stressed
with-
out.
Right.
Oh, yeah, to be
Right.
stressed and just hating life. And you
Right.
can't decouple under
Yeah.
my circumstances.
Okay.
And y'all's really. It's the same.
Not
It's
really.
just a shorter.
Right.
It's just a shorter
Right.
duration.
I don't know
Well-
what it's like for an agent. I mean, right? Have you had scenarios where you're
Oh,
like,
she's had scenarios.
Yes.
I don't
my
want to
eyeballs.
work with you.
Yes, and I mean, and quickly to Andrew's point, with this relationship, it's a long-term relationship. I mean, I brought prospective clients to you. We stood on that lot that, giant ravine and kind of stood on
Right.
top of a hill.
Right.
And he was having that conversation about, we're going to be in this. We're in this for the long haul. We're over a year. You're going to hate me. Y'all are going to hate each other. You're
Yep.
going to, as a couple, as a
True.
family, this is going to be a trying process. So you need to know what you're signing up for, and you need to know that I've got your back, but at times you're not going to like me because I'm going to give you advice and I'm going to give you
Right.
opinions that you may not agree with, but I promise you that I'm trying to help you. And so in the end, that you're going to come out of this, and we're all going to come out of this like best friends, and that it came out perfect.
Did that make sense? Because I always worry too.
Oh, no,
'cause-
100%.
Okay, good.
Made
Because
sense to me when I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, think about your own relationship with your husband. It's a guy who, think about this. Y'all are both married, and there's times you have looked at that and went, my God, I can't believe how much I love this guy. I want to have sex with this guy. I want to get drunk with this guy. And then think about the inverse of that. I can't stand this mother scratcher. You know what I mean? This
miserable.
son of a bitch is, I can't, if he says one more word, I'm going to stab him in the neck, can't believe I ever let him touch me.
You may not want to marry that person.
You're right. And,
Right.
and tell me that's not true in every relationship. And,
Right.
you know, you look at the whole body of work and you go, well, the good times are better than those bad, or that it usually doesn't work out if it's not, right? But isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the truth?
Right.
It's true. And that's
Right.
why I do that with clients, because I know at some point they are going to be mad at me for something.
Right.
And I'm just going to have to be like, well, here's the truth and how it is. And let's have that conversation like an
Right.
adult. Like an adult. If you can't keep it together, then, you know, that's a different scenario. But you have every right to be pissed about something, you know,
Right.
and either either it was my fault and I'll admit it, or it wasn't. And, you know, I understand you're frustrated, but, you know, check yourself, because I can't do anything about the weather or commodity prices or, you know, things
Right.
like that. So, and usually if you have them, you vet people. And it's interesting. They will disqualify themselves if they cannot be the people that you want to be in that with.
That's funny. That's interesting, because you're setting the expectation for
Yes.
for them, for you,
Yes.
the relationship up
Yep.
front. And you're right. They disqualify themselves from the relationship.
They do. They're like, oh no,
Yeah.
because this guy's going to hold me. I'm going to have to
Right.
sit here and be, because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are unreasonable and assholes, and that's how they live their life. And they don't want to change that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that's fine.
You'll figure that out pretty
Right.
quickly with that
Yeah.
spiel.
And it's like, okay, you don't have to change it. Cool. I just don't want to go down that journey with you if you're that person.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you are that person going, oh, that makes sense, and I am willing to do that. Okay, cool. Then let's do this.
Right.
Because there's going to times I hate y'all too, by the way.
Yeah.
I
It's a two-way
imagine.
street. Don't
It
worry.
is a two-way street. Yeah. I
Yeah.
literally tell them, I can't talk to y'all right now. Let's talk on Monday.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, fair enough. You know, it's like, but I think if you're honest, it makes for a good time. I hug my clients.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is that professional? I don't give a shit if it's professional.
No, but it's a
I'm living my life with these people for a year.
It's a
wanna-
relationship. It's become a
Yes,
yes,
yes.
yeah, very prominent relationship.
Right. I think we need more of that sort of just genuine thing. And y'all were talking about the podcast and being nervous. You just talk and be genuine. Just be who you are.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing wrong with who you are. You know, there might be points of who we all are not really super attractive. You don't really
Sure.
want to hide those. You really want to put those out there, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would think dating wise would be like, let them see the bad side of you kind of early on, not the opposite. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I don't mean do it on purpose or whatever, but don't be so guarded. Let them know if you're, I don't know, you know, if you're a little bit of a hothead, or I don't know, if you pee with the bathroom door open, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever it is. Let them see those things early on, and they'll be like, yeah, I can deal with that. All right, cool.
Right.
Now it's acceptable, and y'all can work on it. But I think you get down the road, and all of a sudden you're with somebody who's guarded themselves so long, and now you're entangled. You're in this relationship, whether it's business or personal or whatever, and now your bad stuff comes out that you can't. Now I just can't hide anymore. I can't control anymore. Now they're like, holy shit! I thought I knew
Right.
this person.
Who is this person?
You're
Close
terrible.
the door when you're taking a dump, you know, or
I'm lucky that I dated my husband for like, I think it was like 7 years.
wow.
Before we got married.
So you really got to know him.
Yeah, but at that point, I was like, are you
Right.
gonna do something about, are we gonna get married? What's
That's
happening?
that's
Right.
another thing, right? That's
But-
another deal, because you really knew him. But yeah, 7
Yeah.
years, it's like, bro.
We made sure.
Yeah. It's a
But
common law,
I've
right?
had
Yeah,
friends.
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, I think y'all were married
Yeah,
legally
yeah,
at that point
right.
anyway.
I think so. No, really. Like we
Yeah.
we were like common law. We rented a car once, and I was like, no, he's technically my, what is it called? Yeah, when they're, what is
Yeah.
it called?
Common law, that's
marriage? Yeah. So
Yeah.
Said in
anyways.
Georgia, I just remember growing up in Florida, that was common law.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah,
And now we're actually married. Actually, this year,
Made
we
it
just
official.
realized the other night, like February was like 10 years together. I was like, whoops. We
Whoops.
didn't.
wow,
But
that's a good
we're
thing.
going to do something this year to commemorate it.
That's
I
a
don't
Yeah.
great deal.
know. I know.
Yeah.
I've been with
10
him
years
forever.
together. So 3 years married, 10 years together.
Yep.
Right on. Good for you.
Wow, yeah, this will be 3 years.
Good for
That's
you.
crazy.
Slips by pretty quick.
Thanks. I know, right? And we have 2 kids.
Yeah.
How'd that
I just
happen?
turned 55. I'm like, wow. I love it.
awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's great. I absolutely love it. But it's like 50. How did I get to be 55?
Sure.
Right.
man, I get senior discounts at places. I'm like, what the hell is happening in my life right now?
Publix on Wednesdays.
You asked
Is that a
me.
thing? Because I'm going.
Is that?
Actually, we thought it was because Rick obviously he's going to be 55 this year, and he got excited about all the discounts. And I said, 55 on Publix, you get senior discounts on Wednesday, so you can take my app and go and get the senior discount.
Right.
They took it away.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, he was like, son of a bitch. Seriously.
Really?
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
I made it this far and you moved
You
it.
took my right. I'm just getting the AARP, envelopes, but no more
Right.
Publix discount. So.
I literally was talking to my dad, who is, I think he's 85, 86. And we were talking about it. I was like, man, I think I'm a senior now. And he goes, no, I think it's 60 or 62. I said, no, that can't be right. And I Googled. I said, damn it.
It is, right? I was thinking
right.
I thought it was like 60 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's 62 before you get Social Security and all that kind of stuff. But I thought they give senior discounts at like 55.
You might.
They do.
Maybe it'll
They do.
pleasantly
They give
surprise you.
travel
some
discounts.
places. There you go.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
At 55?
Delta Airlines. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, cruise
Bonus.
ships, like when you start getting down towards the bottom, it'll, are you 55 and up, you may, eligible for a discount.
Score.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm always looking
cruises.
for
Are
a
you a
good
cruise
discount.
person?
I grew up going on cruises because my
Okay.
grandparents loved taking us on cruises and went on a ton. Haven't been in a number of years, and interestingly enough, found something out about my husband that I didn't know. And we've been together a minute. He'll kill me for saying this.
Do
but
it. Say it.
What
I
is
grew up
it?
with her husband. He's one of my best friends,
Really?
like old friend. We've known each other since 6th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes. And anybody who knows my husband, like if you see him around and you hear them, if they're calling him Ricky, that means they go way back.
Oh.
Yeah. Because he's Richard.
Right.
Goes by Rick. But Ricky is
He's
that's
always
the,
Ricky
that's,
to me,
you
and I'm
know.
Andy to him.
Yes.
Call
And so
me
when
Andy
I
and
met Andrew, it's Andrew, not
Yeah,
Andy.
right.
But anyhow, I just found out very recently that
I want to hear
kind of
this.
brought it up. And he was
What?
talking to Felix and Kaylin when Fee was in from Germany. And
Yeah.
that he just started questioning. He said, well, I don't understand. How does the boat not tip? But he started asking it enough times and in enough ways.
Yeah.
Like, hey, babe, are you afraid to go on a cruise? I mean, this is a guy who loves to fish.
Of course.
And,
Deep sea fish,
Yeah,
everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Loves the lake, loves water, loves the sea, the ocean.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a mild
Are you
fear of
kidding me?
cruises. And I mean, he's been on a cruise. We've never been on a cruise
Is it
together.
the Titanic? Is that what made it
No,
happen?
he just does not. He was like, I just don't get it. The boat's like this. How does it not just like...
Oh my goodness.
I mean, Ricky, you fucking weirdo. What do you? Now I got something on you. I'm gonna bust your balls
Crap, he's going to kill me.
about. Yeah. Thanks, Lynn. Thanks for letting it out.
That's so
Awesome.
funny.
Maybe it was the gentleman's jack. Sorry.
Yeah. Loosened her up. Now she's letting it go. So, but to his point, I mean, here's the deal. And I had to, I don't know, at some point I had to look into it too, because think about this. And I heard Joe Rogan talking about it the other day on a podcast. It's displacement. And I don't know why at some point in my life I just learned the displacement of it, but I want you to, this is why it stays above the water, but I want you to think about a cruise ship. It is metal. What happens if you throw metal in water?
Right. I just...
It just flips or just sinks right down to the bottom or whatever. I mean, it's metal. How does that happen? Well, fortunately, I must have studied enough to understand displacement, how it sits on top of it or whatever, but it'll sink down a little. But it ain't a... I think it's a normal thing, and they were talking about it, and Rogan and the other guy that was talking about it was like, yeah, I can't figure it out. What the hell? How does this thing not just sink straight to the bottom?
Right.
Like Ricky's like, why don't it tip over? That's probably more realistic. Why doesn't it tip over?
Which they do every now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. If they hit something or do something,
Right.
yeah. But Joe was like, I understand wood, and they were talking about battleships is what they were talking about. They're like, but who the hell wants to be on a wood battleship, man? Somebody shoots it with a bomb or a flaming arrow or whatever. You're screwed out in the middle of the sea or whatever.
Right.
But wood floats,
Right.
So I think it's probably more of a common fear than most people think. Ricky, just drink through it. Every time you have that, just have another drink, man. At some point, you don't care.
Obviously, we don't. My fear is the fear of flying. So, but honestly, it made me feel better because he will not admit that he's fearful of it.
Right.
But he had some doubts and some questions about, the stability of the ship. And obviously, my fear of flying, but I'm like, I felt more comforted. I'm like,
Right.
see? everybody can be, everybody can fear something.
100%. I know,
Yeah.
isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's what I say about just being open about stuff,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
it literally does.
Yeah.
Because everybody's got some weird little deals like that.
Oh, I've got a ton
we
of 'em.
all do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same way about flying, though. We
Right.
talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm not a.
Makes me nervous too.
Lots of alcohol. You're in a
Yeah.
metal vessel up in the
either
air.
Xanax or lots of Jack.
Yeah.
Lots of Jack. If you do the Comfort Plus a Delta, Jack's free.
Keep bringing it.
Bring it. Yeah, and it's funny because I don't know if you know, but I'm an old paratrooper. I used to jump out of planes.
No, I did not know
Perfectly
that.
good airplanes.
They're not.
I
Okay,
know.
first of all, they're not perfectly good. They're military and they're a bucket of bolts. So coming out of them things was my pleasure. I am out of here.
Interesting.
Loved it. I love standing in the door, hanging out of it,
Wow.
doing all. I was the craziest guy. I wanted to be the first one out. My son hates it.
Wow.
It's because he's smarter than me, and knows what you're doing is not normal. Why would you do that? But I loved it. I don't know why I
Get
loved
the
it.
adrenaline rush.
Maybe, I guess. It's so violent because when you come out and a plane's going 150 knots and you come out of the door, it's like, whoa, you're like a rapper out of a
Yeah.
car window, and it's
Yeah.
nuts. Then it gets so quiet. And it's church. It's amazing. You can't hear anything. Like you just, it goes away and that's gone and you're up there. You don't hear nothing and you're just floating and it's incredible. I loved everything about it.
That's
But
interesting.
get me in a regular commercial plane and close it, and I don't have a parachute. And the first time I did it, I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know if I can go on this flight. Just
Yeah.
drink, please. And I just started liquoring up. And it took a while, and I eventually had counseling, I mean, I'm pretty open. We've had marital and grief counseling and all kinds of counseling. Come to find out, it's sort of a control issue.
Right.
Because when I was jumping out, I had a parachute. I was safe.
You were in control.
Yeah, if that plane's going down, they ring a bell, and all the guys in the back that are jumping go out.
Right.
Makes sense.
That's the safety protocol, But
Oh yeah, you're trapped in a plane. There's no getting out.
Delta's
unless there's
like,
an
you're going down
emergency.
with a
Right.
captain. I'm like,
Right.
that's never
You
been
got a
a
seat
thing.
to hold on to,
I
maybe.
thought the captain goes down with this ship, not me.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. And so so we all got our weird things,
Right.
For
Right.
sure.
Just makes us human. Again,
Yeah, it
just
makes us
human.
and it makes you feel better, doesn't it?
Right.
Because if somebody's guarded about those things and don't share them with you, then you feel like, man, am I
Right.
the only one with this issue? Well, you're not.
Right.
You know?
Right.
No,
No, and I know I'm not. And
Yeah.
obviously we've talked about that. I totally know I'm not.
Yeah.
But it's still, man, that fear does not go away.
Woo-wee.
I just remembered. All right, have y'all seen Bridesmaids?
Oh, yeah.
that movie. I love that
That's
movie
one of my
so
favorite. We were
much.
just
And
talking-
I'm
Kristen
sure I have.
Wiig
Yes.
with the plane scene.
Yes. That's me on a plane.
Between, I see a colonial
haven't
woman
seen-
on the wing of the plane.
Yeah.
Because she's like
'Cause she's already
hallucinating
had
from the
her- 'cause
drinks
she already
and the
had
pills.
she popped her pills
Yeah.
and she
Oh.
like sucked back her drink.
And she's drinking.
Oh,
yeah.
it was-
Yeah, she had the.
Just go
It's
watch
hilarious.
that part of the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you've
I'll
never
Google
seen that
it.
movie, you should watch it.
I mean, it
so
sounds
funny.
it sounds so familiar, Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaid. Kristen
It
Wiig,
sounds
Melissa
like
McCarthy.
a girl movie. I mean,
I'm sure I've seen
Yeah.
it.
my husband, the first time I watched it with him, that was like 7 years ago. Whenever it came out, and I was like, "Oh, it's so funny! I can't wait!"
Yeah.
And then halfway through, not even halfway through, he's like, "I'm like, do you like this?" He's like, "I don't know." And then it wasn't until like a year ago, I was like, he's like, "Let's watch it." I'm like, "You no," and then he watched it all the way through and was like, "That was so funny."
It's hilarious.
I was like,
as
I
hell.
don't know where you were whenever we
Right.
watched it the first time, but
Right.
you're right, it is hilarious.
No.
Well, I
It's
think
good.
it's ingrained in dudes, man, because
Right, it's a girl thing. I can't.
100%.
I think that's what it was.
Because honestly, like my daughter and my wife, it like for the entire month and sometimes November, want to watch Hallmark
I was gonna
Christmas
say the Hallmark.
movie. It's
Oh, I can't
just
do that.
Constant, and I'm like,
I'm not
are
a
you out
Hallmark
of your mind?
person.
And I'll tell you something. I get into them, I forget about.
Do you get into it?
Yeah, I forget about it, and I'm like, that's a great movie.
I gotta stay for the ending now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, dang, I
Does
don't
she-
know what
is she gonna
happens.
propose? Like-
Yeah, exactly. I am a girl, man. I'm like, I'll need some fuzzy slippers and a
Yeah.
freaking, yeah.
I love that. That's something else I didn't know about you.
Yeah.
I can't do the Hallmark movies.
No,
No?
I can't do it.
Hallmark
No.
Channel. It's
Can't
I mean,
do it.
look, if I
but I
didn't-
could do some.
If I'd had two
No.
women in my life that did it, I would never
You
do the
would have never,
Hallmark.
no.
But when I start doing it, you get into it, and I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I kind of
see
like it. It's
that.
good story, good
Yeah.
storyline, and
I love that you're sharing that. That's awesome.
well, Tim will probably take my man card when I
it's all right.
done here, but
Your man card.
it'll
That's
be
great.
the first time I lost it. So sorry.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so well, super interesting. So let's talk about business, real estate business.
All right.
So something interesting just came out. I wanted to talk about the settlement and how the
Yeah.
changes are going to affect us. What do you guys think about that?
Do you want to go first?
Well, I definitely have a lot of thoughts, right or wrong. But
Yeah.
so, like I said, I have a lot of thoughts.
Well, nutshell it. Nutshell it. What do you?
So, in no specific order.
Yeah.
One, a little frustrated, a lot frustrated with NAR.
Okay.
You know, I do feel stabbed in the back. Slightly. I just felt like this was the lawsuit itself obviously has been talked about for, it's been in the works for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And
Years.
yeah. And it goes back to, these are contracts. People, buyers and sellers should be reading their contracts. And if this is over commissions and sellers, then are mad because their commissions that they were charged by, the listing agent
Yeah.
weren't shared with the buyer agent, properly, or the listing agent may have said, well, I'm going to take, 5%, 6%, and
Sure.
that's in the contract. That's
Right.
Been there.
the seller
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah.
The seller signed that.
Yeah,
There's
no
two
doubt.
lines that shows the total and then what's going to be shared. So I feel like, well, this is a contract, and everybody needs to read what they're. You've got to read what you're signing your name to.
True.
Selling a house, buying a car, whatever it is, it's a very
Yeah.
large purchase or sale.
Buyer beware.
Absolutely. So, I feel like, and again, I probably have lots of, I feel like a
Let it go.
target right now.
No.
Yeah. Not at all.
So I feel like if the seller's complaining that commissions weren't properly allocated, well, again, it was documented from the get-go.
Sure.
And then, even all the way to the closing table, there's a commission agreement that goes to the closing attorney that
Right.
shows the split. That closing attorney has obviously all the documents that
Right.
show everything. So for it to be misleading, I'm not sure how it all really got there. I'm sure there's one-offs, to it all, that things did go sideways.
So that's an interesting point to me. So along this process, I mean, of course, I've been following it, and that was something to me that was fascinating, was that how does it, and it's not like I want to throw closing attorneys under the bus, but I'm like, how do you have a firewall in attorneys? They are closing. So how do you, if it went through them and they do everything legal, shouldn't that wrap it all up? I mean, there's nowhere. How do you punch through that firewall and you're like, oh no, these weren't done? Well, sue your
How?
closing attorneys. They're officers of the court. They are literally, legal minds. It should not go to. Does that make sense? In other words,
Yeah.
it's almost like getting charged with a crime, but the police vetted the crime, so it's not a crime
Right.
because they couldn't let you do it if it was a crime.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing. If you were breaking the law, how is it went through closing when
Right.
attorneys closed it?
Right. We know this, like this, and we all do. The documents that we know the GAR
Yeah.
forms that are included in every transaction.
Yeah.
There's no document that's able to be left unturned to get to closing, to
Right.
be able to close.
For sure.
So that's my worry there. And I was just going to say too, on the now on this flip side with the that now the listing, the commission on any sale is not going to be allowed in the MLS.
Right.
That's a gray area now, how they're
Right.
going to figure it out. There, you may be able to share it. You can tell, a buyer's agent can call you can tell. But, and I was talking to Rick about this the other night. All right. So if it's not being advertised,
Right.
okay, so yes, a buyer's agent now has protected themselves. Which agency agreements have been around, whether you've had them signed or
Georgia's
not.
pretty good. I think that's one of the things that helped us from getting
Yeah,
sued,
actually.
in my understanding.
Yes, mine too, because Florida's a totally different ball
Yeah.
game right now
Right.
with that,
Okay.
and FMLS
Yeah.
themselves.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
Oh yeah, different
But-
states are because
Yeah.
it came out of Missouri, I think. Was
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
but so you have your agency agreement, and so you state that you put in there that if the seller is not going to
Yeah.
pay any commission, you put in there that the buyer is going to be
Like, I get paid
that
3%,
whatever you're going to put
period.
on there with
That's
that
right.
person.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me this. This is one of my hypotheticals. So there's a house for sale. You're bringing your buyer in. They fall in love with the house. You make an offer. You call obviously the listing agent and they say, well, we're paying, I don't know, say they're paying 3% or something. Actually say they're paying nothing or it's negotiable.
Okay.
Send it, again, hypothetical.
Yeah.
We're in this scenario. So you submit an offer on behalf of your buyer. You submit an offer with working in a 2% commission.
Yeah.
I don't know, let's, put it at that. But the seller has already received offers for no commission paid,
Right.
1% commission paid, 1.5% commission paid, and some
Right.
for 3%. Isn't their agent and the seller going to sit there and just like we always do on the listing side of things, let's look at all offers.
It is a negotiable point that hits their net.
Aren't they looking at bottom dollar?
Oh, of course.
100%.
So again, lots of thoughts and may not be the.
Oh no, I think you're absolutely accurate.
No, yeah.
I mean, you're 100% accurate because you also got to think that you do have to negotiate that with the seller, and they are going to consider it for their bottom line. I think it's a perfect thought because how does it get paid for otherwise? Because your buyer isn't going to go, I'll buy this house for $500,000 and then I'll just write you a check for $15,000.
Yeah.
For 3%, I always put 3% on my.
Sure. Yeah.
That's what I charge for me.
Right.
People can do what they want. So, how do they cut? Are they just going to write a check?
No.
Because, no.
A lot of them, no.
Because they barely have enough to
they've
make
got closing costs, they've got down payments.
They're 3%, they're 5%, they're 10, they're 20, whatever.
And I think that I get why you're upset about it. I think I'm more upset about the headlines, too. The headlines, I've read an article, I think it was a CNN article. I was like, this literally is not what's actually happening. And the headline was, buyer commissions to go away completely. Well, actually, no. What? That's not what's happening. But that's
not at all.
So I think like education around it, and even why did it happen in the first place? I mean, you guys are great agents, but sorry, but they're not all great agents out there. And and so when
I think that's right.
And people should read contracts 100%.
It goes back to you got great agents, and I just had this conversation with a realtor that I've worked with and adore the other day. We were texting back and forth about it, and it went back to the contract. So sure, there were some shady agents however long ago, and now they've this all came out. All right, so penalize those agents who did something wrong.
So here's a whole nother deal. So something about the legal system that you guys may or may not know is there starts out with whatever the issue is, right? And then once you get lawyers involved, it just becomes about the money.
Yeah.
They could care less about the issue.
This is a huge settlement.
This is a huge class action settlement. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of, it's kind of like the Trump thing with the business in New York. It's like, you can argue the merits of the case or whatever, but then it's just the money. It just becomes about the money, and that's all it ever is with attorneys. And they don't want to go to court, honestly, because somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose. They would rather just settle. Yeah, and that's the problem. So like, it was the responsibility. Were there some bad agents, or were there agents that just were? I always say agents tend to be a little bit lazy on.
Yeah, maybe bad is not a great word.
Right.
I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. Not educating, though, because I think.
Well, you know what they would say?
What?
Is you're free. Listen, I'll be your buyer's agent, and it's free. You're not.
Oh,
paying.
that's what we were told.
Yeah, and that's
I'm working for you for free.
Wait, how much do we pay you? You don't. The seller does.
The seller does.
Right.
That right there is why. Part of why I think
absolutely 100% accurate because and the really kind of messed up point of that is when you tell them it's free, you're buying the house. Literally, the buyer is paying everybody's commission, as well as proceeds to the seller. You know what I mean? But I think it's a way that we frame it in this business to where we're saying, it's free. You don't have to pay anything because of how we move numbers around. But that's not honest and that's not genuine. No. I mean, the fact of the matter is you're the buyer. You're the one with the pot of gold. You literally are going to pay everything. Out of your pot of gold will come commission, and proceeds to the seller. That's literally how that money gets divvied up. But because it's almost like a shell game, And I think we've got to get to a point now, and to be honest with you, I don't even care. I mean, I didn't care that anybody said it that way or did it. I think you're splitting hairs because anybody that's got any sense should be able to figure that out. If you're buying a home and you can't figure out that you're coming with the money and do that, well then, okay, what do you care anyway? You're just getting what you want. You know what I mean? But okay, let's split hairs on it. And that's what happened. It got just, so we go back and we don't say it's free anymore. We say you are literally paying everybody's commission and all that kind of stuff, But it's funny because they'll break it up and go seller and seller's proceeds pays the listing agent and buy, but there's not an apparatus to pay the buyer's agent. So guess what? If you come to me and say, hey, I want to buy a house. I need some help. I need some reputation from a realtor. Experienced, very experienced realtors. We've been in a long time, but I want to negotiate your commission. Mine's 3%. If it's for a friend, okay, maybe 2.5, maybe 2 or something. But other than that, I don't want to do it. Go somewhere else. Do it on your own.
It's up to the agent
DIY.
what they.
Good luck.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's always been an option.
It's always been an option to do it that way, and so. I don't know what the apparatus is going to be, but I think I think the fallout, and I'm not being just a realtor holding on to my side. I really think the fallout is going to be that people get hurt in this deal, buyers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because think about buying a house. Like you said, you just went through it recently.
A few years ago.
Before
I was really in real estate.
Yeah, and you're in the business now. Can you imagine going through that whole process by yourself without knowing?
It was 2020. No, and I mean, I'll be honest. Did we read the contracts thoroughly?
Absolutely not.
No, we sure didn't.
Trusted
what
your
did I do once I got into transaction coordination? I went to go look at my contract that I signed, and I was like, "What did we sign?"
Right, yeah.
I mean, you know what
Yes.
I mean. So it's like I can't. It's like you. Yes, people should be reading it. You can't expect them to, but we should also expect that our agent can explain it.
Well,
so if you have questions about it,
that exactly.
And I agree.
Right, I don't expect.
But lazy answers.
If I'm representing a seller or a buyer, do I expect those two people to understand that contract? No, that is my job.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is my job to understand the contract.
Agreed.
Before they put their name to it, to the point of I am going through and do you have any questions on this before we move on? Do we, it's because it is my job. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm
totally. And I agree. And I think it needs to be a conversation, and I think it needs to be a situation. Anytime I come from a different world though. I come from being a builder, and if I'm building you a home, it's line itemed. I mean, it's scope of work, and it's about 40 different line items, and it's all out in the open, and this is it. And I have no problem saying you're paying me for everything. You can change, you can do everything, but you're paying me. And a lot of people don't have that kind of confidence, and it took years of getting there. Most agents will go, what all is this cover? Does it pay for or whatever, Mm-hmm. And they don't have the confidence you don't tell them, well, you're not paying anything. Honestly, here's the game. The seller sets the commission and all that, but your funds are what goes to them to pay these things out and have that conversation. And that's the way it works. And it works great that way, because this way you can fund all of that through your loan.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
Because otherwise you would just be out of pocket
or
on your own. Because I'm not helping you for free.
Yeah.
Right.
Truly.
I mean, just listen. That's the part I think about this whole lawsuit that's bad is there's going to be two things for the consumer protection side. Because if somebody says, will you do it for 1%? No. You want my real answer? Then I say we could be honest. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off. I'm not.
Well, what if there's an agent out there who says, I'll do it.
But shitty agent.
Well,
that's the second point of my thing.
Yeah.
You've got somebody that'll do it for 1%. Think about that. You know what I mean?
You shouldn't be, what's the word I'm looking for? You shouldn't be devaluing yourself.
You bet. And you get what you pay for.
Yes. I deal with that as a transaction coordinator too.
You 100% do. And guess what? Everybody in a capitalist society does.
Yeah.
You think Jaguar says, I'll sell it to you for what you can buy Chevy for?
No. Right.
Fuck off.
Right.
That's like Elon Musk. Fuck off. And that's it. Why don't people be honest about these things and go, okay, don't be lazy. Educate your consumer. Nothing's free. I mean, I'll tell you a quick story. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
This is why I sort of lock onto that side of it and think this is probably the crux of it. I'm not sure if it is, but first college class after the Army, I'm sitting there. This guy was cool. He was the cross country coach at Kennesaw State.
Nice.
And he was a math. And he says, I'm going to tell y'all something. He goes to this whole long thing. He says, King Solomon had all his scribes and everybody go out. He said, I want to know the meaning of life. And he sent them out. And, back then everything took forever. And they went out and scoured the world. It was all these people. They come back and they had volumes and volumes. And they said, I'm not reading that shit. I'm not reading the contract.
Right.
Go back, condense it down. Came back and they had half of it. He said, still way too much. I am not reading all that. Bring it back and I want one sentence. And they're like, yeah, they're like, King, this is a volumes of the meaning of life. How does it, one sentence? He goes, go. Back then you didn't mess around because, And so they come back and he said, all right, what is it? I've had enough. It's been years. Y'all figuring it out. I need to know what it is. And they said, there is no free lunch. That's literally the deal. You know what I mean? There is no free lunch. And that has stuck with me the whole time. I was like, that is so cool. And his point was, you have to work. Yeah. And if you just work, you get a good grade. Right. And if you don't, there is no free lunch.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this whole suit is. It's just, nothing's for free. So if people are telling you free, you go,
oh, wait a minute.
Right.
What are we missing?
What's the catch?
Right.
What's the catch, And so I think it's sort of a mixed bag, but I think it went to lawyers, and then they're just looking for money.
And then the news got involved, and they're
that's
spouting
the thing. The headlines that are
And
coming out, it's spinning.
The news, all they want is salacious headlines,
Right.
and they don't care about accuracy or truth, to your
Right.
point, like you said before. So it just gets in this whole convoluted shit show, really. But could there be some things? And the thing I was mad at NAR about, and Gary Keller and all this, I think there was an inordinate amount of hubris on his part, because he took the stand, and he's going to tell them what's what. He got his ass handed to him for about $1.8 billion.
Peak.
Yeah. So he wasn't as big as he was because he couldn't afford that.
Right.
And it's like, why didn't y'all talk to whoever this lawsuit was, put egos aside and go, what is the crux of this?
Right.
Is there something we can figure out and make happen? And explain it. Because if you explain to the other side, hey, this is how things get paid for. Were people saying buyer's agency is free, or did you think it was inflating values? Let's talk about that.
Right.
Let's go. It's not inflating values, or is it inflating values? And what do we need to put in? Do we need disclosures? Do we need a different way of doing business on comps and valuations?
Yeah.
Let's figure this out so it helps people. All it ended up doing, it doesn't help people, because now buyers are just out in the wind, and a whole bunch of agents are now like, am I going to have a career?
Talk about this?
Right. And am I going to be working for minimum wage? And who the hell wants an agent that is, uneducated and willing to, she's not going to do anything. She's going to be worse than the agent. The worst agent now is going to be a rock star to the agent it's going to be like a Duffy or something like that. And I don't mean, that sounds really bad, but I don't care. Whatever.
Right.
But Duffy is a business model that's like, you're on your own.
Right.
We'll give you some forms, you figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good business model. I'm not knocking her. I think it's kind of it fills a niche. Good for her. I respect that. Was it Rhonda Duffy, I think? It's a good, that's, her business model was that. But you're on your own, basically.
Yeah.
That's the whole business model. You know why we all have jobs? Because most people don't want to do that.
They don't.
They want to pay me or you to do this because we trust you. And this is the biggest deal. And to me, the people are nuts that unless it's, they were an old agent, or I don't know, if they have a certain set of skills and they want to DIY this, it may work, but it's mostly people that are a lot of hubris and arrogant and egos. I can figure this out.
Oh,
right.
I just talked to a client of mine she's talking about for sale by owner. She's like, I don't even know why I contact them anymore. Because I was like, if you think about it, why there had to be a little bit of arrogance for them to think that they could do it when they have literally no real estate experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I'm just putting that out there. But I really think that all of this, the lawsuit and everything and the settlement, it's just going to require more education
Yeah.
and for agents to learn how to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I just met with someone yesterday. She's an experienced agent, but she was like, I was a deer in the headlights when I was at my listing appointment because he just asked me a certain question and I was like,
Well, it's
because she didn't want to say it in a way that. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm seeing a lot of brokerages give, I don't know, seminars, videos, trying to educate their
Yeah.
agents. This is how you talk about it, so that
Yes.
you still retain the commission that you want
Yeah.
and all of that.
Or
But and
that
I
you
do
work
I
for.
do work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that you work for. But I do.
I think a lot of people don't realize how, I think people in this business, and look, I think real estate agents get paid a lot, and I have plenty of criticism.
Criticism.
I'm like, why did I get hung up on that word? Like, well, what has happened? What's the naps? Oh, it's Jack Daniels. That's what it was. So, but I have plenty of criticism for agents. I do, because I've been around them long enough and been doing it long enough to see where many of them are sort of unrealistic and very lazy about things. It's like, this is the most professional, well-educated, well-trained, well-paid sales profession. It is a
Truly.
business that you can make 6 figures. You can make over 100,000.
Absolutely.
And everybody loves to throw around 100,000. Most people, by a large swath, do not make $100,000 a year.
Right.
But everybody loves to throw it around because of
'Cause it's
TV
possible.
or media. I mean, it's a possibility. But you literally can if you're just willing to work normal hours and normal SOPs. So doable. And it's kind of a secondary, it's an ancillary revenue for me as a builder. And look at me, I ain't pretty, I ain't the sharpest knife.
You're so cute.
I am cute.
Well, I think you're authentic, and that's what.
Right.
People love it. They're like, you're a builder and you're honest with me.
Yeah.
I
Right.
want you.
Yeah,
And
most
so-
builders are not honest.
Well,
That I've come across.
well, I love that you caveated it. I love that you caveated it, and
Yeah.
that's fair. I just think people have a hard time being, because they think it's going to cost them something. And my thing is, whatever it costs me is probably not worth having.
True.
And that's a hard thing to get over. I think I've always been that way, but I really started intentionally applying that when I hit about 40. I've always been kind of a good old boy, and I'll shoot it straight. But I
Sure.
don't think I didn't sugarcoat shit because I had a family, like we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, and everything else, and the stakes were higher. Got to be 40. I'm like, fuck it. I'm who I am.
Right.
If this is good enough, then good. Let's do this. If not, then okay, cool. But I think I think a lot of people have a tough time with doing that, and I think that's the problem on the real estate side is, how is this going to end up shaking out? Because you need to build into whatever this new system looks like, the ability not to expect everybody to be just completely honest and not, you know what I mean? I think I'm sort of an anomaly on, this is what I'm going to do for you, and if it's not, but most people are like, okay, yeah, I'll do whatever, and 1%'s okay, or whatever, and it's like, think about that.
I mean, I see
Right.
TCs who charge. I mean, I've seen 150 before, and I'm like,
Well-
how are you? You're getting burnt out. And the
100%.
same with an agent.
Right.
Like, if you're going to accept 5-6 deals like that, that's
There is no chance.
not really worth it.
You
right?
hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
There is no chance you're going to be a good agent for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
You're not. I mean,
No.
you can literally go to just think. She'll see the bill at dinner one night with her family, and it's 150, and she said, "That's it. That was the
That's
whole
what I
deal."
just- right.
And I still have 30, 45, 60 days with this
Almost keep-
client.
right.
That I'm just in the hole. And if you're true to your business, you realize that you're not even working for free. You're losing money.
Right. Absolutely.
You're losing money.
Yeah.
You lost opportunity costs that you could be making money somewhere else. You paid gas, you paid insurance, you paid brokerage fees, you pay everything. And none of those people negotiate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
None of them do. So, I don't know what's going to come of it.
It's just hard because the media is.
Yeah.
I saw something and like some meme, and it said, "Oh, all of a sudden, realtors are going to figure out that they're not making $20,000 a deal." To that effect. Like it just, like you just. Oh well, you're my new buyer, and we got you a house, and here's another $20K in
The
my
new
pocket, and
bash
this
class.
is right. It's
It's just
just
this
because it's just that easy,
misconception.
and it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just that easy, and it's
Right.
not. Yeah, it's
I-
the media
It seems
spin
to
on
be
this
real
is-
popular, like
Yeah.
politics drives culture. So it seems to be real popular right now to knock. we're going to knock big business, or we're going to knock this, or they sort of knock things. And I think right now the real estate industry is getting beat up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think it's been that, like, oh, it's an agent. Oh, are they being honest with me?
Right.
I mean, I had that. Look, we used an agent that was a family friend, so we trusted.
Yeah.
But we were like, but what why? Y'all, I'm admitting it, and now I know better. But when she was like, you know, and technically you're supposed to give options. But when somebody says, this is my preferred lender, here, call them.
Right.
You're going, who are they?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Why do I? Well, actually, now I know there is nothing in it for them. They just want the deal to go through.
Right.
They just want it to go through and you be happy.
Right.
But yeah, I think I still had that before getting into the business. Like,
Of course.
I know you, but is this what's happening? Wait, how much do we pay you on top of buying the house?
Yeah.
I'm confused. You know, there's so
Yeah.
many. Well, and that's what you're paying the agent for, to know all of the intricacies.
Right.
And
100%.
it is the biggest deal of your life. So why would you only
Yes.
want to pay $100 to do it? Or, you know.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I mean, that is insane to me. I see people that want that sort of deal.
Like, you can find that, but it's not me.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Right.
for sure. But I also think, just from an academic standpoint, why do you, so you have young kids. Mm-hmm. You want the cheapest teacher you can get teaching your
Nope.
kid. Why? It's the cheapest. It saves you
We
money.
tried something that was cheaper and it didn't work out so
Yeah,
well.
some dude in a
Yeah.
van with
not that bad.
with ketchup stains. I'm here to pick
No
your kids
windows.
up.
Gross.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show them what's up.
Yeah.
He's like, well, he's only $100. What
Right.
the hell's wrong? Why,
Right.
Maddie? You can save money with that guy.
Ugh.
It's stupid. It's the
Yeah.
dumbest philosophy in the world.
Right.
Yet, that's what I say about being honest and authentic. That's what I love, when people just get honest and authentic and go,
Right.
I don't want to pay less.
Yeah,
That's another thing. It's like the whole sex
Yeah.
thing. It's like there's butthole models on fans only, and it's like people don't want to just say what the truth is, but these things are out there. I
Yeah.
didn't make them up.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Trust me. If it was my world, that would not be a part of it. I'm just
Right.
living in this world,
Right.
but it's the same thing. I never say I want to pay the absolute cheapest, because I realize as a fucking adult that tied to that is the level of service I
Yeah.
get.
That I'm going to get it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Why don't I just there's day laborers literally right up here.
Right.
Pull in there and go, can y'all change my oil? I'll give you $20. Your shit's going to blow up
Yep.
2 miles
So-
down the road.
Down Bell's Ferry before
But
you
I
get to
got it cheap.
575.
I got it cheap,
Right. I got a deal.
man. I got a deal.
I got a deal.
I
Right.
don't understand that
I
philosophy.
posted it wasn't really a meme, but something like it, where it was like a
Yeah.
transaction coordinator
Yeah.
is like wine. You can choose the cheapest, but don't complain when you have a headache.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
really.
Right.
I like your version better.
That's it.
Mine's a little potty mouth. Yours
No,
is way better.
Told you I can tone it down
You
when I need to.
can. That's
Yeah.
great. But it's 100% accurate. That's why
yeah.
we don't. That's why we don't drive. And I've been saying this for literally decades to customers. It's like, yeah, you can go buy a cheaper house than what I can build you. I'm not having that conversation with you.
Yeah.
Go buy it. But I saw your car coming in and you drive a Mercedes. Guess what? There's a lot of cars that are cheaper than a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why aren't you driving, whatever? I don't even know what the cheapest car is nowadays, but because I don't care, because I never want to drive it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so why wouldn't you? And they're like, because we want equality. I said, okay, now we can have a good
okay.
conversation.
You're right.
That's
Yeah.
what I was
now
looking
let's
for.
talk.
Right.
Let's
right.
chat.
Right.
And
And it's about absolutely being honest. You're in the
Yeah.
business of relationships, and what do you want? Are you going to be honest with that person?
Right.
Are you going to tell them a lie?
Right,
Are you going to,
yeah.
when it's all done and said,
Yes.
how, are they going to look at you? Are they going to pass you on the street and be happy? Or are they, are you
Yeah.
like, well,
Are they going to give you a bad
exactly.
review?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
Because
right.
if you paid me $150, I'm going to be the worst agent you
Right.
can ever imagine.
But as
Seriously.
as
Yeah.
the agent, you also signed up to take it. So again, know your worth.
Well, you're
and-
right.
And know how hard you're going to work.
So important.
Mm-hmm.
So important to know your worth as an agent and stand by it and do it,
Yeah.
And
And so as far as the commissions go, going back to that,
Yeah.
thinking about the listing side,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, and I'm not an agent, but I'm just
Sure.
thinking about it like an agent. Like,
Yeah.
you go on a listing appointment now after all of this, and somebody goes, okay, but I know about all of the settlement,
Yeah, of
and
course.
I don't want to pay 6%. Let's just, using that number.
Sure.
I don't want to pay 6%. I only want to pay 3%, and I don't want any of it going to the buyer's agent.
Fair
then
enough.
Then I feel like the listing, that's going to probably happen. I would think, because they're
100%.
trying to save money.
Yes.
No, it's fair
But
enough.
I think what needs to happen is, okay, but then we're limiting the buyer pool, which isn't the
Absolutely.
whole point of hiring me to get the most people
Right.
looking at your
Right.
house possible to get the best
Absolutely.
price,
Right.
et cetera. So I don't know that it's going to be as big of a problem that we think it is, at least in Georgia, right? I don't know about other states.
It's
but-
literally not because
Yeah.
it's two
What do y'all
things.
think? Yeah.
But no, agreed. It's literally not. Now we sort of get anxious because it's our livelihood.
Sure.
And yeah.
I mean, it's kind of mine too, because I ride the
Well,
roller
yeah, that's
coaster.
true.
But yeah,
You
no,
do
yeah.
too.
Right.
And
right.
you're absolutely right, because guess what? They're not paying you if they're not getting
Right.
paid, or if they're making a $500 transaction fee.
Right.
They're
They're
not
not-
paying Maddie
no,
to
they're
write
doing
the
their
paperwork.
contracts. Right.
Okay. Yeah, they would definitely do their own contracts at that point.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what's going to happen? It's not ever as bad as you think it's going to be. So the smarter people in this industry are going to figure out how to make that apparatus work. And also the people selling their house, as soon as that comes up, that's easy. It doesn't even need training, although I'm sure we'll be doing classes and luncheons and talking about it. But it's one of those deals to where it's like, okay, so you don't want to incentivize anybody to buy your home. What do you think we're going to get for that?
Right.
What kind of people? Who is going to be the person? So if you're not paying an agent to bring their client, now our pool is what?
Yeah.
For of just buyers on their own. By the way, I'm not working for them for free.
Right.
So you're paying me $3 to be your side. They are going to F this up so bad and waste your time for about 60 or 90 days
Yeah.
of fucking around and not get this thing to closing. And you're going to be frustrated and probably
Yeah.
not going to want to sell it. So I think if that's your attitude, I don't want to do business with you.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what agents kind of, but there's going to be a lot of agents going, oh, I can
I
get
just need the
3.
business.
I just need the business. And I get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I do. I totally get it. We all need to work and get it. But I think it's going to, if they don't figure something out, on how to get the buyer's agents paid, then that's what's going to happen. But can you imagine? You're a transaction coordinator.
Yes.
How would you like just some random person trying to send you paperwork back and jacking it up?
Oh my God.
Yeah, and it's costing
Right.
you.
My eye would twitch. I would, no.
Right.
that-
Yeah, and so
much time
it took
put into
2 or
that,
3
yeah.
times. So basically 3 transactions for one, because that idiot didn't want to,
Right.
pay for somebody
good
to
for
do
anybody.
it. No, it's insane
And-
to me, and I hate where it's gone. And I
Yeah.
hope and I really know some really cool things will come out of it.
Yeah.
Some innovative people will figure this out.
Right.
Because what's going to happen on the other side is you're going to have a ton. I mean, plus, by the way, what do those people know about fair housing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
What
and-
do they know about fair housing? And this whole diversity seems to be a big issue. How about people that are not trained and they're just going to buy this? What are they going to do? They're going to break all kinds of laws. They're going to be sketchy. They're going to be screwing, your listing agent will be trying to protect you, but they don't have to play by the same rules.
No.
It's like somebody playing football and the other team can have brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Like, how can I can't protect you?
Yeah.
Right.
I am regulated,
Yeah.
and they are not. And so it's a stupid thing, to your point. It's very frustrating, but I do think a lot of smart, innovative people are going to come up with something and go, here's what we need to do.
I think so
That's
too.
a good point. Absolutely a good point and all that.
Yeah.
Through all of this, because there's so much gray right now.
Yeah.
That good will come out of it, because it'll be kind of
Yeah, and-
anarchy otherwise.
What
I mean, it
about
really
VA
will.
loans?
Think
Yeah.
about, how bad, because you have, and I won't mention them, but think about the investors that are out there, the sketchy investors. There are some real sketchy investors doing houses, and now they're going to be selling them, and they don't have accountability. They don't have it's over. They don't have this overwatch of a regulated industry like the realtors industry, watching both sides of the transaction and inspections and all this and blah, blah, blah. I mean, think about how people intimidate. Think about car sales. what a bad used car sales have such bad reputations because they'll intimidate, they bully, they give them bad loans or whatever. Think what's going to be happening. Now you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, you get screwed on a car,
Right.
it's kind of recoverable, right?
Right.
You get screwed on a house, it can be not recoverable in your entire lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, especially for most people, first-time home buyers.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I was just thinking about VA loans. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Well, right.
they can't pay their
No.
agent.
That's right.
Legally.
Right.
Right.
So, and I have to think, I mean, there are people out there who won't accept a VA offer, right? Or someone who has a VA loan, but there are a lot of people who will.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry, my brain's just,
Oh, no, I
there's-
love it. I
Right,
love
yeah,
it. I
There's
mean,
lots of, right.
it's like that's,
there's a lot
Yeah.
of rabbit trails, I think,
Yeah.
on this thing.
yes,
And,
it's
you
very
know,
layered.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the good thing about Georgia is, though, my understanding was they did like sort of duplicate lawsuits on all the states when the Burnett-Sitzker thing when they lost the case and they got it against Keller and Nahr and all that. Every state just got these random lawsuits that they really didn't look into the states.
Right.
The attorney's office just started filing motions everywhere.
So,
Well, ours got kicked out or whatever because they didn't realize what kind of state we were, and they filed it, and it's like, that doesn't apply to us, and so they threw it out. So they'll have to, like, put the time and effort in to figure out what kind of state we are. And I think ours does a really good, I think Seth Weissman helps with the contracts and stuff, and I think they're really pretty good buttoned down. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in Georgia. But our stuff is pretty good. You have to write in that if they don't pay 3%. I always put 3%. And do I ever make anybody do it if it's a 2.5 or whatever?
Sure.
Not really. Because
Right.
honestly, I will take listings for clients or family friends at 5%. I mean, it's negotiable.
Right.
And depending on what kind of work goes into it and all that kind of stuff, I'll talk to them and I'll negotiate with them like, no, it's 6% because
Sure.
this. And they're like, okay. Or if they're like, man, it's all together. I'm super squared away. It's easy. I just need you to make sure it's all, good to go, and all that. And okay, cool. I'll do 5%. So and then if it does say 3, I usually, I don't make them.
so this
No,
is
I don't
another,
either. No, I never
know.
hold them to that.
No.
It's right. You put that in there just in case the
It's
seller's
just a-
not
Yeah,
going to pay
I-
anything, and then
That's-
it's a
that's
talking
right.
point with the buyer.
Right.
If
For
they're
sure.
not. But
Yeah, exactly.
most of my clients, like I'll ask 100% always, hey, I see you have 3% on the buyer brokerage, but it's 2.5.
Yeah.
Am I putting 0.5% on the commission agreement?
Sure.
Nope, not doing that to them. I know they can't
Right.
do that, so
That's
it's fine.
right.
Right.
Most of
Of
them
course.
do that.
Right.
And I'm just thinking again randomly, but the not listing it on the MLS is, I mean, it's just going to require a lot more communication.
Right.
Just, hey, I need to call. Hey, what are you offering? Okay, great.
Right.
Hey, they're not offering anything.
Right.
I'm gonna need, we agreed to this. So I'm having
but
like
then
more
that brought up
conversations.
again another rabbit hole of things. It's
Yeah.
are there going to be lazy agents? I'm sorry to say that when they call on it and they find
Right.
out that there's no commissions being paid,
Are they gonna pass on it?
Oh,
then
yeah.
I'm not going to show this house.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
then you're
That's not
doing
good
your
for
job.
buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're not, but would you do your job? Would you go
a really
to,
good point.
if you had a job you clocked in at, let's say you worked at, I don't know, wherever.
Yeah.
And you clocked in and they said, we're not paying you. Would you do your job?
No.
Nope.
Hell
But that's
no.
and that
Bye.
so I get it, but it's just putting agents in a situation because again,
It
there's just so
is.
much gray that
And
it's not
That's my point where it's a consumer protection, nightmare, really.
right.
But I think it does make you communicate. So you're not going to really just quit, but you'll go back to the people, hopefully. I think what should happen, what's ethical, because like you said, you got to serve and I love that you're so relationship and you're like, how do I serve them if I'm not getting paid? How does this work?
Right.
I think you got to be super honest and you go back to them and you go, listen, they're not paying buyers, agents, commission, so you're going to owe the 3%, and at the list price, it's X. Are you cool with that? And
Right.
they're going to go, absolutely.
Right.
I'll write a check for that or whatever,
Right.
or I'll do it at closing, or
You work
hopefully
it
the
out.
lenders will be like, will somehow tack it on. But
That's
how-
a good point.
Right.
Well, and I think that's what has to happen, and it'll just be like it was before. It'll just be a separate line item.
Right.
So maybe, let's say they list the house at $500,000, they get a loan for $550. Out of the $500, the $3 goes to the listing agent, the $15 goes to the buyer's agent, and then they finance the 515.
Right.
That would be great. Yeah.
That's what they do now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a different way of.
Just
it's just
yeah.
broke down different.
Right. Like you said, it's a shell game.
It's just a shell game.
Yeah.
Just be being in
Where-
communication with the lender too.
Yeah.
Right. Well, all of it. I mean, there's ways to do it. There's absolute ways to, whether it's closing
Sure.
costs, allocating those, and then you do your line item on the
Sure.
disbursement, whatever it is. But
But you wonder if there's any kind of RESPA laws or something. I would have to look into all that. Because I can see people watching this and being like, "Oh, you won't be able to do it that way or this way." I'm like,
Right.
You're gonna have to figure something out. I
Sure.
don't know all the laws to from lenders and all that. All I know is the system worked pretty good before. It was kind of
Yeah.
the way it was built in, and just because it wasn't communicated well was not a good excuse to just upend it completely.
right. That's where I'm at with it.
I'm
Yeah.
really curious about Florida. So do they do any kind of brokerage engagement where they commit to a certain purchase? Because you mentioned it was different and they were in a different boat.
It's because Georgia is different than a lot of the states, and
Yeah.
the way Georgia operates is different
An
than
attorney
Florida.
state, for sure.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
you mean?
Yeah.
Title
yeah.
versus
so, yes.
lien? Okay,
So,
gotcha.
so this is all going to be, it's just running different. We're a little
Yeah.
bit more protected in Georgia. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, hear you. I hear you. Just
Yeah.
curious.
Have
Yeah.
you heard anything from any of your clients or anything like that?
I work with several different brokerages, so I hear different things. Like I said, most of them are putting out a lot of education for their agents because a lot of agents are like, I don't know how to talk about this
Sure.
because
Right.
it is so layered.
Yeah.
I hear some that are editing their brokerage engagement agreements to be even clearer.
Yep.
So things like that.
Yeah.
But as far as like any of my clients in particular worried, nobody seems to be worried. They're just they're in transactions. They're doing their thing. They're like, yeah, I think most people are not. I think it's the people who are newer, because I do work with some newer agents
Yeah.
who are a little more nervous. But
Sure.
and then the general public who sees the headlines and doesn't
Right.
know what's going on.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think end of the day, just keep doing what you're doing now until
Mm-hmm.
it comes down. Because even as a brokerage and a compliance, we honestly still don't know. We're
Yeah.
just trying to be more. We're trying to take what's coming out, like you said, through the media,
Mm-hmm.
and because honestly, nobody officially has put anything out. I know
Mm-hmm.
Weissman's been very good about trying to issue some things about
Mm-hmm.
clarity and stuff. But there's nothing that has come out yet. And went, hey, here's what our new protocol needs to be.
Right.
There's not that yet.
I'm curious.
So, yeah, I'm curious too. But I think the thing for me in the meantime, sell houses.
Sure.
Right.
You know,
Keep doing your job.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing
Show up
your
every
job.
People
day.
still need them.
Negotiate whatever it is, right? If it ends up being a 6%, do 3 and 3, and that's worked, and it works great. And be very communicative, and that's all you can do, at this point, because you gotta. We all got to make money, and we got to go. But I think it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm absolutely curious to see how this is all going to pan out, because right
Yeah.
now we're just dealing with, I feel like, dirty headlines.
We all
Yeah.
can't be listing
Yeah.
agents either. You know what I mean?
No, I know, and that's where everybody. Oh, well, I'm never going to make it anymore as a buyer's agent. I've got to be a listing agent.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Is everybody listing agents
Right.
now? It's
like, no.
who's going
It
to
can't
represent the
be.
poor buyers?
I know. They
I know,
need help
seriously.
too.
Right. No, they definitely need help. Again, imagine like little first-time
How
home
would
buyers.
that would change the industry?
Yeah.
That would change our economy.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would change that would almost be a culture change,
Yeah.
because people would be getting inadvertently screwed buying homes, and then you're going to have a whole generation of people that had no help.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get help in everything you do. Think about it: medical, car sales, anything that deals with money. You get help with that. And if you cut the money off, you get no help. So how does that look?
I know. I'm just thinking about, when we bought our home, how would we have felt if she would have said, well, yeah, it'll be $15K.
Yeah,
for
what
my-
would you have done, honestly?
We would have been like, we can't do it then.
Right.
Because we had enough for the down payment. And I feel like we had a part of that was like gift money.
Right.
And family.
Right.
It's like first time home buyers. That's not when you have the equity
So
from your
then-
home.
Right.
So would that
pay.
preclude you from doing it, or would you have been like, let's just do it on our own?
It
and take
probably
a risk?
would have made us go, no, we're just going to have to rent, because
Yeah.
when we bought, it was beginning of 2020.
Oh.
So it was a crazy time.
Oh, yeah.
And our
Pre-COVID
budget.
or COVID?
Oh, it was right when
Right.
COVID hit.
So did you actually?
So spring.
It was wild.
Yeah.
It was the Wild West.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
put
Wow.
in like 5 or 6 offers on different houses and didn't get
Yeah.
it. Very competitive. The price point we were at in particular
Yeah.
was already like we couldn't go any lower, right?
Right.
Otherwise we don't
Right.
have the money to fix that. Yeah. So we probably would have just been like, we'll just have to wait. And
Yeah.
Right.
I'm so glad that I am very grateful. We are in Woodstock. The fact that we
Great
were not the
time.
highest and best on that house either. I swear, it was the universe was smiling on us.
Nice.
I commented on the green shutters and the green door and the green key and the green. My favorite color is green, and I had a good agent. And she was like, "I'm gonna tell him that," and she told that agent. And
That's awesome.
long story short,
another
the
thing
seller
you-
was like, "I like them. They seem sweet." Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
was why we got it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can't
So.
do love letters, or you're not supposed to do love
We
letters.
didn't do
anymore.
that,
And
yeah.
I think that is great.
Right.
Right. But I think
Yeah.
it's great when
To
people
personalize it.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, what's wrong?
wonderful.
So
I
a
just-
seller can see who's going to buy their home.
Right. That is
Yeah.
the most.
Isn't that like I mean, if you were selling your home after
It's to
X
go to
amount
a
of
sweet
years in it,
person.
and you know that you've got a family, and I know
Let's
you know
go.
certain things we can't discuss,
Oh,
but
of course.
but if you know a family's moving in or a young couple or whatever it is,
Right.
and they have fallen in love with your house because of the green door, the green
Yeah.
shutters, the green
Right.
key,
They chose that
they
color.
Saw that.
you know.
They're gonna love it like you loved it.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So, because we see, I mean, I see the home prices now, and that's a whole nother topic. I know that they are where they're supposed to be, but everything seems
Yeah.
like it's too expensive, and everybody's having a hard time with affordability. And
Of course.
honestly, I
Right
just
now
feel
it's
very
tough.
grateful
Yeah.
to be
Oh, yeah.
to have a home. For all of its, home ownership is a whole nother story, but
For sure, and you should have a ton of equity too. I mean,
it's a good area. Yeah, we
Yeah.
live a few miles from downtown.
Oh gosh,
Woodstock.
yeah, when you bought. Gosh, that was a
So-
crazy time.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
my
I
God.
sold homes that I didn't even go into, that I wasn't able to go
right,
into.
because of the
'Cause
COVID
of
Yeah,
restrictions.
because
COVID, yeah.
so
Yeah.
the
Wear masks
Oh.
before you come in.
You're gonna
this
love
one was
this.
a
Lysol
contractor's lockbox.
Oh.
They didn't want, and they left it open. And my client, who I've done, he's
Wipe
a
knobs
repeat
down.
client. He said, "Don't even
Booties.
come out here. It's okay." Because he had a young, immune compromised son, and he said,
Oh.
"You don't
Yeah,
come. It's
yeah,
okay." And the listing agent said, "You can have your buyers go in without you. It's fine."
Oh, cool.
He went and saw it. Closing came around and wasn't even. I remember it was McMichael and Gray and Alpharetta. Had to go up to the up in the elevator, third floor. I got up there and like, "Oh, you can't come in," and so had to send my client in and go to closing by himself. Like again, just such a weird
wow.
time that happened a
Really?
few times during that time. Just
Yeah.
like
That is
when the
odd.
world is just shut down.
Right.
It is
Yeah,
odd.
selling
What-
homes without seeing them.
You look at those things, and this isn't even like a criticism or nothing. It's just interesting to see. We're talking about you need representation. You want somebody holding your hand on tough decisions like that, right? You need a good advocate for yourself and all that. And now the world is on freaking fire. None of us knew what was going to happen. Is this going to kill us all? Is this the
Right.
horror
It's a little
movie that we
scary.
Right.
watched where the,
Right.
the virus
Contagion.
Right.
Contagion kills
That
us
movie.
all.
Right.
And yet I am still pushing through and buying a house, and now I can't have the person that's here to help me be in there
Right.
with me.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a little
Sat down
story
in the
about
lobby.
that.
Yeah.
It's not real estate related, but
Yeah.
I was pregnant. Let's see, by November of 20. So it was
Give it
still
2.5
COVID.
years.
I mean, 21 was still COVID.
Wow.
And I got pregnant
House,
then.
baby.
It was a
on the way.
lot. I don't know what we were
You did
thinking,
all
but
the
we
things
did
at
it.
once.
All right. And so I gave birth in July 30th, 2021. And anyways, in that journey, we wanted a doula. Because we were like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Help.
Of course.
And we got a doula, but we
Sure.
went to Northside and they would not allow it. So
Really?
we literally had her on the phone. Thank God they allowed my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk about you pay for support. I mean, we
Right.
paid
I
for
was,
it.
That was where my
Right.
brain went with that. You paid for something.
We paid
for
You-
it.
You opted to pay for something.
It
and
was
couldn't get it.
still, it was still really, I'm glad I did it. But
Yeah, of course.
wow. Yeah. Same
and that's what
thing.
I did. Yeah, on the phone in the lobby, walking him through. I mean, again,
Okay, so
luckily
what
he-
does that form say? Are you
Right.
you-
Well,
you clear
again,
about
Yeah.
luckily
that?
this wasn't his first rodeo,
Okay.
and
Oh,
this was
good.
an investment property he was buying, and it was really straightforward. Thank goodness it
Right.
was. But no,
Right.
I was down, FaceTiming with him.
Yeah.
Going, okay, yep, sitting in a lobby with a mask on while he's upstairs, and he had to sit in the room by himself. They brought the forms in
Oh,
and
wow.
stood like in the doorway. I'm like, I'm
Don't breathe
so
on me.
sorry. But
I
yeah,
know. What do
he
you
got
do?
through it. Luckily, he's
Yeah, you just
sitting in
do the best you
a
can and
great
work it
amount of
out.
equity
So
right
glad
now,
we're
and
not-
Right. Yeah,
in
for
that
sure.
place.
Well, anybody that did it like you and is still in that property is
Yeah, in a good place.
a very good place.
Yeah.
But
We did refi, but I'll tell you, it doesn't matter. We're still in a good spot.
Oh, yeah.
Right on.
It doesn't matter. That
Good.
was, yeah.
Good.
but to your point about the help, because you go back and right now with all of this and
Yeah.
people's perceptions on agents and all. So I was
Right.
his buyer's agent. Imagine going through that during
Oh.
that time with no help.
For $150.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the commission
I
jumbo
can't even
and
afford
the,
gas to come
imagine-
see you.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine
My
that.
phone bill's more than that.
Right.
You're just on your own.
Right.
and I'm
I'll
not
mail
trying.
you a letter.
I'm just gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and say this. So transaction coordinators make a fraction,
Yes.
right, of
Mm-hmm.
what
Yes.
an agent makes. So when I have somebody scoff at my price,
Oh, I know.
I probably need to get a little more vocal about it. But I want to be like, is that if I'm not going to say if $450 is going to break you, then we're not meant to work together.
Sure.
Right.
That's kind of what you were saying.
What do you say, actually?
It depends on the situation. I mean, and I've never had anybody go, "You're too expensive." Well,
Yeah.
actually, yes, I have one time, but that was not meant to be, and I'm glad that it happened.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
Oh,
That's
easy
what
look
I'm talking
back.
about.
They were a top producing agent and all of
Nah,
that, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter. Because I love the name of your brokerage, Vibe.
Right
like
on.
they were not my vibe,
They
and
were
I
not good
knew
vibes.
it when I met them.
Yes.
And at the time I was a lot newer and I met with them, but I left the meeting and I was like, I feel like I was in trouble the whole time. Like that was weird, like weird
Yeah.
energy. And I was still like, maybe I want to work with them. And now I'm really glad that I didn't.
Yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
I-
absolutely.
I
100%.
don't want to be stressed while I'm it's already, look,
It's
real estate
stressful
transactions
enough.
are right.
To make sure everything is.
I'm supposed
you know,
to bring in calm to the chaos.
That's
Right.
I
right.
don't need anything else.
Agree.
Yeah, I'm working with a mindset coach, so hopefully I can
Oh,
get some
interesting.
help on
Tell me about that.
on that. Yeah, so do you know, I mean, his name is Miles. He's around. You
I
might
have
met
heard
him.
about him.
Yeah.
Somebody was wanting to bring him to the mastermind.
Yeah, he should totally come.
I would love for him to
He
come.
would
Invite him.
probably I will. I'm seeing
Miles,
him.
you're invited.
I'm seeing him Friday.
Everybody, you're invited. Come to the mastermind.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an agent. You can be whoever.
Yeah.
And if he's a mindset guy, I mean,
He's a mindset coach,
Perfect.
and he does hypnosis too.
hypnosis.
I know.
I need that for the flying.
Oh, there you go.
Just talked about that the other day.
When I
Man.
had my
Tell him to teach me.
Miles,
I will have you
call me.
clucking like a chicken. Yeah.
walking up and down serving you pretzels on Delta.
I mean,
I'm
and
so
he-
happy.
You know,
Pretzels.
I was like, if I work with you, are you gonna like
Actually see it.
hypnotize me or what? And he's like, I mean, it's not in the way you're thinking. He's like, if somebody needed to like quit smoking, that would be a much longer process.
Yeah.
Like, sit down. I'll let you know. I mean, I've wanted to work with him since January, and I just pulled the
That is
trigger. So
fascinating.
both my husband and I are working with him. So
Really?
you know, like I did
Does
have
he
somebody.
put you under?
No, that's what I'm trying. Like, it's not.
Like he don't put you under?
So I'm being very free, but we're about to do what did he call it? Like a kind of clearing some negative emotions and beliefs
Okay.
that I've been holding on
Yeah,
to.
well, that's great.
We're
That's
about
what
to
I've
go
been
through
talking
that,
about.
and I can't
I do it through Jack
wait.
Daniels, though.
Look, I told you I used to smoke cigarettes. Like I've had my outlets, and I just feel like there's some stuff
you
holding
tried
me
my
back.
method, alcohol and
I'll be honest.
smoking.
Alcohol has never sat well with me. It doesn't
Really?
like me. I'll do it a little bit, but I can't.
Is that
I
true?
can't. No, this is. It's true. It doesn't ever sit well
like
with me.
excessive drinking. it
Yeah, I
doesn't.
can't. And granted, I mean, I did it in my 20s and in college. We talked about that.
Sure.
But
Right.
yeah, it doesn't like me very much.
Maybe you just need to power through. You know? Put your back
was gonna
into
say, I
it.
think
Done that before.
I think you need to
Don't
become
be a
friends.
quitter.
Yeah.
Don't be a
Likes a
quitter.
quitter.
I nobody
Come
likes
on.
a quitter, man.
I forget why I was even talking about I don't know.
No, you're just talking about Miles and the negative energy he's going to hypno it
Yeah.
out of you.
I don't know. We're going to do some kind of exercise. I'm super excited.
Cool.
Because
Interesting.
It's,
Yeah.
like there are just some things.
I'm scared to
Everybody's
do
got
that.
past stuff from
Oh.
whatever it is.
Everybody has past
trauma,
stuff.
whether it's complex.
Miles Rubin with Possibilities Unlimited.
Oh, you mean say it like that? Yes, I work
Yeah, of
with
course.
Miles Ruin with Possibilities Unlimited Coaching.
Yeah.
He's
so
great.
he's a good dude, right?
He is. Everybody loves him. Do you work with him? I didn't know that. That's awesome. Yeah. So he's working with my husband too. So, and my husband just kind of had a similar thing yesterday, and so I was
So
like,
dive down.
"So how do you
into-
feel?"
Yeah, I know, right? So dive down into that. Tell me.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, tell us about the whatever it is, but so it's not like a traditional counseling.
No. So that's really interesting because he talks a lot about that because I am someone who has been to therapy throughout my life.
Yeah,
and
me too.
If I'm being honest, I'm at the point where talking my problems to death is not helpful.
Okay.
And granted, I'm not trying to put down therapy. It has its place.
Yeah.
And there are so many different kinds of therapy. So talk therapy is one, but I think
Yeah, but you got to have the tools. Like you can
Yes,
talk about it,
the
so you put it
tools.
out, so you see what you're dealing with.
Right.
But you need the tools now
Well,
to tweak it.
And for him,
you gotta
he
execute.
actually is like, don't tell me details. Like,
Oh.
usually. He's like, I
Okay.
don't need to know super detailed context about what happened. I need to know
How does he go
the
about it?
big picture of it.
How does he go about it?
You might have to talk to him about
Like a
that.
watch or
No, he
something?
didn't do any of that. And I mean, I've only done one.
Be
I've
afraid
literally
to
only
wake up
had
with
one
my underwear
session.
on my head or something. I'll be like, I don't know what the hell happened right now.
There's somebody that goes to the Monday Morning Brews that said, I think he hypnotized me. And he did. But it was not in the thing that, it's not the way that you're thinking. And, he makes it.
It's not like the old school deal.
No, it's like we were being hypnotized all the time with TV, with radio,
we're
with
being,
advertisements.
manipulated. for
Yeah,
sure.
it's
Yeah.
programming.
Yeah.
We're
Oh
all
yeah,
programmed.
that's the whole TikTok thing now that's going on.
I don't know if you're okay. So there's a man named Dr. Joe Dispenza. You either know him or you don't. You either love him or you hate him.
Okay.
But basically, his work is Glenn Carver was a huge fan of Joe Dispenza.
Okay.
He's all about how we can heal ourselves,
Yeah, for
heal our
sure.
minds,
Yeah.
and then it's all about reprogramming your mind. So Miles is doing that, but
Okay.
in a kind of fast forward way, right?
Okay.
So you could spend years in therapy trying to do that,
Sure.
or meditate for years or whatever it is. But the whole point is
What
trying to
his,
rewire.
how does he go about that? Like
I don't know all the secret sauce yet.
Oh, okay,
So I've
gotcha.
had
So you haven't done
one-
it.
Well, our first meeting was about setting up, like the roadmap and where
Oh,
I
I
want to
see.
go, and we did a little exercise. We had another session with. It's actually interesting. My husband and I are doing it,
Yeah.
so we had like an alignment session. We learned a lot about each other. It was cool.
Oh.
So this will be my third one, and
Cool.
so I don't know. Yeah, I
That's
would say
and
definitely
that's a
talk
common,
to him.
That's a common therapy deal too, to have people in.
Oh, yeah, and-
partners, spouses
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. To hey, I need y'all individually. I need you to be together, and then we'll sort of do both. That's a common deal.
I think
Right.
I think that was the only one, but it's. I mean, I told
so.
you
He's not a cognitive behavioral therapist.
He's not a therapist at all.
He's
Nope.
not a therapist at all.
Nope. And
Neurolinguistics.
thank you, neurolinguistics expert.
Tim, say that again.
Tim, I was not prepared.
Neurolinguistics expert
Neuro-linguistics expert
and hypnotist.
Yeah.
and hypnotist. Neuro-linguistics. So that's speak and
So I'm
that's
going to come get on the mic so they can hear for just a second. I hope you don't mind me getting
No,
all
not
close on you.
that's
hi-
linguistics is speaking
Yeah.
and neuro is the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So his
Right.
big thing is therapy is a lot of times it's about the victimization and
Yeah.
going over that. He doesn't want to know about that. He doesn't care as much. He's about the mindset. So it's like, well, I can't do this. No, you won't do this. You can do this.
Okay.
And he
reframing.
with the power of suggestion, a lot of times he's sitting there retraining your brain to think in more positive.
He's more like a
outcomes.
Tony Robbins kind of
Yeah,
guy.
Yeah, a lot.
I see. I see. Okay.
And actually, when I had my one-on-one with him, he was talking about that. I mean, I'm not going to speak all for him, but he has a great story of how he got into this
Yeah.
work and somebody helped him immensely.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I don't want to say his whole thing, but
Well, no, that's okay. He can
he's been
speak for
great.
himself. You
Yeah.
can speak for you what you know
Yeah.
about him. That's no
We
problem.
need to have him at the next mastermind.
Oh yeah.
I
that's
want-
what we were.
yeah,
Yeah.
so-
I'll tell him about it when I see him tomorrow.
Please, yeah, and do it, and and don't forget to bring. Yeah, that's right. So I'll tell everybody now. Please come to the mastermind. The mastermind. All these guys have been there. We've been doing it for 2 years now. It's at Vibe Realty. Everybody is welcome. You don't have to be a realtor. You can be anybody. I don't care who you are. So we don't network and only talk about typical networking things. It's more, I like to do it for people just to deep dive onto psychology and sort of like, it sounds like this Miles guy. Like, we don't have time to get into corrective because it's hour and a half, but it gets you thinking. And I like to deep dive in it, be a psychological deal. So, yeah, please come. And I would love for Miles to come.
Yeah, tell them about it.
Yeah, please invite him. Invite everybody. I would love to, for everybody to come. And what do you guys think about it?
Oh, I love it.
Mastermind, it's so great.
Yeah.
Like you said, you're not in a corrective space.
Not at all.
You're in this really great space with other individuals, other professionals.
Yeah.
In a good way, vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it does it like you leave there and you're thinking about what you shared, that just wasn't scripted by any means.
Yeah.
That came out of you based on whatever the topic was that you've come up with that
Sure.
also wasn't scripted.
Nope.
And just going around and talking and leaving there and thinking, wow, that was, whether you implement something into your life based
Yeah.
on what you heard from others or you found yourself sharing, but
Yeah.
it's very impactful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because, and that's exactly what I want it to be, is just reflective and getting you to think about, and whatever the topics are. Yeah, I don't know the topics until that morning on purpose, because all I can do is try and I always, what's the old saying? And I say it all the time: if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so I always want to be prepared to some level. I don't get paralysis by analysis. I will think about it, come up with a plan, and move out, and that's just the process. But this, I want to be a very raw, genuine thing. I don't want to think about it because I don't want to be polished. And I've found that if I come in there and I just, whatever I think of, that I push, the days leading to it, I'm pushing stuff out. And I have great stuff to come in my head. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. I want to do that, and I'll think, no. And the day of, whatever the thread of consciousness is that I guess I've experienced with people, is what I think about. And I don't know where it comes from. I don't care. It just does.
Right.
And I love it to be raw like that because I don't know. And like cognitive behavior was the last one. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want it to be, I don't know where it comes from. I really don't. That's a fascinating part of our brain. Where do these thoughts originate from?
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think sitting there in the mastermind, like you said, it's right unscripted, and you brought up you have a topic that gets brought up,
Yeah.
but nobody knows, and going around that circle, what actually, like you think, you've
Yeah.
heard 5 other people or 10 other, depending on where you are in the circle, whether you're first, last, or in the middle,
Right.
you could have heard everybody else talking and think, oh, I'm prepared, I know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And then you go, and all of a sudden your mouth's opening, and you're like, that's what's just coming out from within inside of you, and you're just talking, and
And I
you're
love
feeling.
that.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think you're right. You'll allow yourself to be vulnerable. And I always think that if I try and do a topic that is scripted and polished, I think people get real guarded because it's like, oh, you're all knowing of what this is, and I'm unprepared, so I'm gonna hold back. But if I come in and go, hey, I just thought of this, and this seems to be something that's important, and it's deep psychology, everybody shares and is vulnerable, and it's amazing the gold that comes out of it, because it may be like the different circumstances, but whatever that cognitive behavior, for instance, we did one on motivation and discipline, how are they related, how are they different, and all that, and people are like, wow, yeah. And it helps everybody's personal and business. That's what I love about it. People are like, yeah, I feel good. I do got to say, I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, I think I'm supposed to be recruiting agents in these things. I think that's the reason to do these things. But I hate so much going to these deals to where it's all scripted, it's all set up just to manipulate and recruit people.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't have that vibe.
Good, good. I never want it
what you
to.
did there.
And sometimes I think, should it have that? I mean, shouldn't I be sort of?
I think you are without trying.
Well, that's what I hope, because like
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier, I want it to vet people. If they're not into that and they're not into self-reflection and thinking about stuff, and how do I be a better person and better at what I do and that kind of thing, then they're not my vibe, they're not our vibe, and
Right.
we probably don't want them there. But if they are, like, yeah, dig it, man, I want to work with you guys. Some of the most the greatest people I've ever met come to it and end up working together, and it's fantastic because it somehow it funnels the people that are like-minded in that, you know.
Right.
So I love it. So
Very
yeah,
true.
please bring Miles. I am super curious to meet him. Miles, if you see this, you've got a great reputation. I've heard several people say how good you are and would love for you to come and share with us. But yeah, cool. Well, good. What else y'all want to talk about?
I don't know.
That covered a lot,
Yeah.
didn't it?
We have talked about a lot.
We have.
Talked about the commission thing too. That was cool
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah, I wanted to get that in there. I think it was like the mastermind. That's been on my mind because I just read yesterday.
very relevant,
It's
yeah.
very relevant, and it's fresh. It's on, I mean, I was reading about it yesterday and this morning. So
Oh, you can't take your eyes off of it. I know you're not huge into social media, but I mean,
I'm
you turn
not.
on the TV. It's
well,
not-
and I get Inman, and I get these newsletters, and you know,
Right.
the Epic Times and stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
it's on there. Yeah, and you're right, and it's on the news.
It's in all yeah.
It literally was on Fox 5 this morning.
Right.
Yeah, and so yeah, I definitely it's just a top of mind issue, and it affects us. And I think it's early. We won't know what's going on, and like I said, the smart people in our business will figure it out and kind of lay out some type of protocol. I just think being honest with people and trying to be ethical is the way to handle these things, and
Right.
you know, let the chips fall where they may. I always feel good about my actions. You know, if I ever did something wrong, then that's okay. It was a mistake, or I just didn't know what I didn't know, kind of thing.
Sure.
And I'm happy to be accountable for those things. Never maliciously, you know, doing something. So I think we're all like that.
But if you were doing your job, you know, the way you were supposed to be doing your job all along, your job's not changing now.
yeah, that's
true.
right.
You may be having conversations with people who are skeptical of what they've seen and read in the headlines, and they may have put a spin on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm getting phone calls from family. Oh gosh, what's happening
Sure.
right now? Is
Sure.
your
Oh,
job
wow.
going to, you know, hell in handbasket? No. I mean,
Right.
it's,
No, yeah.
I'm still no.
We'll pivot. We'll adapt. We'll figure it out. And we'll
People
be
did it for, you know, for other reasons and years
Yeah.
prior. You know,
Right.
things happen to the real estate market, so it's
right.
you know, it's if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're being honest with yourself and your clients
100%.
and the consumers out
You're
there,
gonna be
it's
fine.
right.
You're going to be fine. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think it's such a valuable profession, and you know what? And if it does weed out some people or whatever, then so be it. It may
Sure.
be good.
Right.
Maybe good, because those of us that want to be in it and need to pivot and be more educated or be more vocal or communicative, then good. That's a good thing. You know, and I'll tell you the one good thing about it. It at least is bringing up the topic so we can talk about it more to people. We just got to figure. I think we all got kind of hit with it, and we think it's a little bit unfair. But I think at some point we got to turn it around, kind of like you're talking about Miles and like the mastermind. I think there's going to be a way to now turn it around and go, well, let's talk about it. You know, I think this is what it was about. Somebody felt unfair. I don't necessarily agree with that, but
Right.
they felt it was unfair, and they got traction. So there has to be something to it. We can't just deny it and go, "Oh, it's just bullshit," you know, and
ignore that.
you know, ignore it and head in the sand. I mean, no, it got traction. I mean, they literally won the lawsuit in court. So okay, here's what I'll tell you about. You know, let's talk about it.
Right.
You know, and I think most people really actually will get confidence in you if you know, you know what I mean, and you're like, this is the deal as far as I know, and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, you're on top of it. I don't need to know everything, because most people
Yeah.
ain't gonna want to know that, you know.
Right.
That's a good point. I feel like real estate education, I don't know. There's got to be a way where we don't want everyone can't be an expert in real estate, and they don't need to be.
No.
But I mean, having some kind of understanding of how it works.
Right.
I did not have an understanding of how it works.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have that when you're going. Like, I feel I'm going to be fine now when we go to
Sure.
buy an investment or buy
Right.
our next house and sell our house. But
Right.
Yeah.
most people, like, I was just having I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was like, oh, I need to do the homestead exemption. And, you know, what are you doing? I was just trying to figure out blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, do you have to homestead for that, though? So
Huh.
that told me, well, I guess I could see how you would think that, but no, that doesn't have anything to do with what it is.
Right.
Anyway, so it just made me realize, like, and this is a friend that is going to be buying a home in the next few years. So anyways, I was telling her about it and that, oh yeah, don't be like me and don't do it the first 2 years because you forget to do it.
Right.
You know, anyway.
Did you forget to do it?
I totally forgot to do it. Don't worry, we've done it now.
Oh,
Okay, good.
Oh my gosh.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, but
Ridiculous.
did your agent tell you to do it?
I don't remember. She might have. She probably did.
Yeah.
But I actually got a mailer like a couple weeks ago from an old client of mine, and just to their sphere, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a sweet little note reminding, and I meant to. I need to text them.
cutoff.
By the way, that was a great little reminder that I got in the mail. I appreciate that.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm sure she did, but I didn't.
One of those, by the way, everybody, if you haven't filed homestead and you bought a house last year, you have until
like
April
do
1.
it. Your
That's
tax
a great
bill,
way to
you will thank
communicate.
it.
Oh yeah, It'd save you money.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a good opportunity to put something out there. You know, like on your sphere. That's a good deal. That's a good story.
Yeah, I thought it was because it's something that it can save you money, but I mean, we all have lives and we're busy, and if you're not
Everybody
in the world
gets
of real
busy.
estate, you're not thinking about that.
Like you said, nobody's reading contracts.
Yeah.
Because if we really read contracts, we would be hermits.
Oh my gosh, can we talk
know-
about new construction? And
I
I know
love to.
that.
Please. Yes, let's talk
So
about
I've had
new
a
construction.
few recently, and I mean, so one of them, I have a newer agent. She had
Yep.
never done new construction, and I was like, she gave it to me a little late in the game, which is again not the worst because it's not the same as a normal
Sure.
contract. But what I did was I read through the entire thing because I knew she's new, and so the first thing, did you read the entire contract? You know, was my first question. But I'm reading them, and it doesn't matter. They're all different. First of all,
Oh, they are.
it's almost criminal how much they favor the builder.
Yes.
Like I'm
100%.
I'm sorry, what?
And they won't sell you a house unless you use their form.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm like, do y'all care it's not on a GAR form? Okay, cool, great. Because
Right.
it's not.
They won't allow you.
No, they actually did have instructions to the closing attorney on a GAR form, so I thought that was
Really?
like, okay, random.
Yeah, they probably don't care about
random,
that.
but
But the contract itself,
it's just their
no
contract.
shot. You're using
And-
their contract. And in fact, a lot of the agents, the big ones, will tell you that I've had them say, we'll take care of you. You're protected on it. We'll just take your clients and walk them through and do everything.
Right.
No.
They
Right, but
literally,
that's what they
literally do that.
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't want you involved. They're like, we'll pay you, no
Right.
problem.
We'll pay you,
Oh,
but we'll pay you to
wow.
go
We don't-
away.
Yeah, we'll pay you to go away.
Oh,
They
I haven't
want-
seen that yet. Okay.
Oh yeah, they want you to. They are from their.
They probably don't like me because I'm
probably not.
Hello.
If,
Right.
bothering them.
if you do your job,
Yeah.
they really don't.
Yeah.
And it's not that it's not that it's super sketchy. It's more of they're only angling for their self protection.
Yeah.
Instead of going, hey, let's make this fair about both of us. Let's
Yeah,
make
no.
this a win-win. Absolutely not. I will only sell you my house if it's this, all.
Oh yeah, the preferred lender, the preferred attorney, all of that. So
Right.
there's one that I'm currently working that I read the contract and I was like, okay, dude, the inspection period. It
Yeah.
needs to be, I guess I'll just make it at 14 days from binding agreement. Okay. Oh, y'all, we need to do this in the next 5 days. And
Yeah.
so and then the listing agent was like, oh no, it needs to be done at this date. And I was like, but the contract says, it was super weird. And now we're
Yeah.
still going, we sent an inspector out and they were sent back. Right. So it is just like, it feels like the Wild West. Because
Yeah.
I'm used to reading a contract and going, okay, this is what's happening.
Very straightforward.
And now I'm like,
Right.
what? And my client asked for clarification. She's like, but the contract says this. And she's like, yeah, well, no.
Right.
So we say something in the contract, but then we make it up.
Although I will say I
later.
closed a deal recently, and I was on the buyer side.
Yeah.
And the builder went through it. We used GAR forms.
You did?
Nice.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Southern Ridge Homes out they were
A smaller deal?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
custom homes. And
That's it.
But it was, man, amazing because it took I'm sorry, but took the guesswork out
Oh,
of
100%.
so much. And there were just addendums to that contract that, obviously were specific because you can't fit everything into a custom built,
Of course.
home
Of
in a
course.
GAR form and
Of
special
course.
stipulations. You'd have 20 pages.
Right.
But that was very nice.
That is
nice.
cool. And
Yeah.
we should stipulate, you can do it on smaller guys.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I've done spec
Right.
homes and I use gar forms.
Yeah.
Why would I use my own?
Right.
But the big box builders, the
Oh, yeah.
Smith Douglas, Beezer, Pulte,
Right.
all of them, they have their own
I'm sure templated stuff. So
It's
I guess
all
they just had the
boilerplate stuff.
period
for
in
them.
the template and
And they
Yep.
really do. They'll pay a buyer's agent if you're going
Yeah.
if you bring a buyer in, but
that's
don't
interesting. And
ask-
what would you do? Has that happened to you?
in the past.
Are you
Oh,
have you been like, okay, that's fine, or what did you do?
I mean, you stay on top of all your timelines to
Okay.
make sure that everybody's
Right.
adhering.
like
to
you're
the
like in the
contract.
background.
Yes.
You kinda-
Okay,
you
that
kinda in the
makes
background.
sense.
And I would go
Because-
I would go walk with them and stuff. They'd be like, you don't
Yeah.
even need to be here. And I'm like, no, I'll
Yeah,
be
no,
here.
Yeah,
I'm
because
I'm
you
here
still
for my
care about
client.
your
Yeah, for
people.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Additional inspections, even though they offer one. No.
Yeah, and I've never had anybody be nasty about it or
Okay.
anything either.
No.
But I have had them say, you don't have to show up anymore. You don't have to do anything
Right.
at all. We will. And I'm like,
like,
no,
okay.
that doesn't seem
Yeah.
right.
Right.
I'll be here and background. I'll just to see if I hear anything weird. And most of the time you don't. That's what I say. It's not a super sketchy, but I could see like in something like that where there could be lawsuits on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the whole commission thing. I just don't.
It's always been
see-
spelled out. I don't
Always,
understand.
and maybe it's because we're from Georgia and it's a little more spelled out and it's better. I think
You're
we-
right. It's the state, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe Missouri maybe it was sketchy there how they did it. I don't know. I just-
Maybe they're going to do it like Georgia now. I don't know.
Right.
Oh, I think they will. I mean, because
Right.
ours is all spelled out, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been something with the big box builders the
Yeah.
way they do it.
Right. I'm looking at these going, what?
Right.
And then the closing date was going to be like end of April. And then we just, it's probably going to move to April 4th.
Oh, they bump
I
it,
was
bump
gonna
it,
say-
bump
which
it.
is fine. But like, well, what about the Can we do the inspect? It's
Well,
just.
that's the other right. Those inspections have to move along with that.
That's
Because,
right.
you've got framing inspections and you've got, there's the process
Got it.
throughout,
Right.
and it's a moving target
right.
constantly.
Of
And
course.
So
It's interesting. I don't know that I love new construction compared to. I don't know that I do, if I'm being honest. I'll do it, but
Of course,
it's
of
not
course.
my favorite.
No, it's a different animal because of that.
I
'Cause
think
they
that-
control it so much.
And I am, even in a normal, I say normal, like just resale deal, the person who's annoying to someone at some point.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, hey, where are we on this? Hey, do you have that yet?
Better to
Hey,
be on
following
top
up,
of it.
And I did get somebody, I think that a co-op one time told my agent, yeah, she is bothering me, but that's good. It's like,
Like, okay.
Right.
great, I'm really good at doing that.
Right.
And so, yeah, new construction. I'm like, who's the attorney? It's not in the contract. Can you let me know who the closing attorney is? They were like, oh, we'll handle that. And I'm like, can you just tell me? And then
Yeah,
they did.
can
They
you just-
begrudgingly told me.
Right.
And how crazy is
I
that?
was odd. I'm like,
It's
am
not
I
a
even
secret.
needed?
Right.
Like,
We're
do
gonna
you
have to
even
show
need
up,
me?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Do you want me to just like look at your contracts and that's it? That's fine. Maybe that's what I need to say for new construction.
Yeah.
I'll look at the contract. I'll help you out, but I don't know if I need to coordinate with anybody.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't seem to want to talk to me.
Yeah, it's nuts. So how do you do like your stuff? Like you have to manage all your timelines. What do you use a software? Do you use
Yes.
like an Outlook calendar?
Yes, I use a software. It's called
Okay.
A-Frame, and
Okay.
it's made for transaction coordinators and realtors. So there's like things in
okay.
there that you could definitely use it.
Do you know about
And-
it?
No, I've never heard of
I
A-frame.
haven't even.
It's great. I love it. I would not be able to do more than, I don't know. I'm not going to give a number, but like a couple of files, it really allows me to scale.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's like you've got each transaction. You can go into it. You can
Does
clearly
it
see the
manage
dates.
all the docs and everything for you?
You can. I do add the documents in there, and what I
Okay.
love is being able to send out a portal to
Nice.
my agent's clients.
so they can access it.
Yeah,
through
because
that
as
way.
a home buyer, I didn't have any. I was like, "Where's my stuff?" I
Right,
don't know.
of
Right.
course.
Coming through my email, and it's there. Whether or not people look at it is a whole nother issue. But
That's
and I
out of
have
your
it for my
control, though.
agents.
Right.
But I
You've-
like.
right.
What, you know what I like about the mindset too is I always say sometimes it's better. So you learn by what not to do sometimes, right? I mean,
Right.
sometimes that's a very powerful teacher, and so you got that right from like the first time you went through. You're like, man, I would have liked to do, and now you can apply that to what you do.
Oh yeah.
It's actually good. It's like skinning your knee. We were talking about kids earlier.
Yeah.
It's good that you sort of skinned your knee on it. I mean, I know it never feels good, but
No.
at the same time, look how good you serve your clients now, because you're like, yeah, I don't want them
There's
to-
always something you add to your checklist. Oh,
Yeah.
that. Okay, let me add that for next time. I mean, I started with a spreadsheet, though.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, that's where I started because
That's
I
tough.
didn't know what
course.
Right.
software to get. I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna like jump in and get one when I don't
Listen,
know.
that was cutting edge 1990. Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets. Yeah.
I still use spreadsheets.
Well,
spreadsheet and
I'm going to say
checklist.
CRMs or a spiral bound notebook.
But I mean, this software, you might love this. This software, you can plug in the dates and it has a formula. So you can say 5 days from choose binding, closing,
Right.
whatever
That's
it
great.
is.
That's
So it just
awesome.
auto calculates it. It cuts down. I mean, yeah, because otherwise you're going
Yeah, of
like
course.
counting in the
Oh, it'd be
calendar.
maddening to try to keep
Right.
up with it. Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's
So I
crazy.
do. Yeah, I have all that, and I have a portal for my clients too, the agents.
That's awesome.
Whether or not they use it again, I don't know, but
Right.
it shows all of their transactions, what's been done, what's going to be
very
done, all the vendors. Yeah, because I would have liked having contact information for my lender and the attorney and all of that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So you can reach out and do whatever you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. So, what is your goal for your business? Do you want to? Are you looking
Have
for
a small
world-
team.
Yeah. Are you world domination? Are you small
about all that.
team,
Probably not,
or
no.
just scale it up to a certain level and ride it out that way? Or what?
I mean, my next goal is to hire someone. Hire
Okay.
either an assistant or another TC.
Okay.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
I'm visualizing, being at the beach and to your point, still working,
Yeah.
but not so much in it.
not so accountable to it.
Hello, Tracy. Yes, can you go ahead and process that file? Great, I'll
Yeah.
look at it after.
Yeah.
That's where I want to be. That's the next step. I don't
Gotcha.
know about world domination. I just
Gotcha.
having a small team.
Yeah.
Because I know TCs out there, and when I pull out this number, I've said this to other agents, and they've gone, but like I know some TCs that do 50 plus deals by themselves in a month.
Wow.
That's right, and I'm going. Oh, I feel like I need help for that. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
somebody
getting
who-
to the point where I
Yeah.
need help is what I'm trying to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, what is yours? Are you world domination? Or
Heck
are
no.
you Florida domination?
No. Yeah. You know.
Well,
Yeah, that's cool
maybe.
that you're licensed in Florida.
Yeah.
Did you start with that or Georgia?
Georgia. I'm
Okay.
originally from Florida, but
okay.
have lived in Georgia since 2007.
Okay.
Yeah. No, when we bought our beach house, and then I started managing it as a like Airbnb property. People started wondering, wow, you have a beach house and you're managing it. I'd love to do the same. And
Yeah.
the Georgia, Florida, people are,
Yeah.
back and forth. That path is worn
Great
out
market,
heavily. Like
for sure.
Georgia, Florida.
No
Where's your
doubt.
beach house, and also where are you from?
Originally from Daytona Beach, Florida. The beach house is on the other side in the Panhandle, Navarre Beach, Florida.
I
Yeah.
grew up in the Panhandle. Well, I grew up not and lived there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I grew up going
Yeah.
there. Love
it.
that.
Love it.
Where did you go?
Well, my aunt lives in Pensacola, so we went to
Oh.
Pensacola.
well, you know
Right next
Navarre
door.
Beach
A
then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right next door.
Yep.
So no world domination, but definitely, we'll be there full time within a year,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Oh, in
Exciting.
Florida?
Yep.
You
And
be living the vacation life.
yes.
like we were talking
So
about.
man, hold on, liver.
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean,
Lots of liver care.
Oh, yeah.
Just eat some beets.
Yeah.
It'll be good.
I mean, we've been doing this for 5 years now that we've had the house, and feel like we go enough that it's tempered a little bit. It's not always vacation.
For sure. I think that's actually a good way to do it. Sort of slide into it
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah. Although I feel like when we get there full time, there'll definitely be some bumps. We'll put the seatbelts on a little bit.
For sure.
But no, definitely want to expand in Florida and the business, like we've talked about. And
can say it.
Yeah, no, well,
That's super
we have
exciting.
Vibe Realty,
Yeah.
Florida.
Ooh, I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fits. I
We
mean,
have-
and all.
Yeah.
We have it. For sure
Yeah.
down there.
Yeah.
Beach vibes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Florida vibes.
great.
So yeah, I mean, we want to definitely have that presence.
Yeah.
And expand.
Do you have a
little bit.
specific spot?
Yeah.
Panhandle? Maybe?
Yeah, the Panhandle for sure is
down,
where we'll
yeah.
start, and then just move in whatever the appropriate
Cool.
places are that are I think, receptive to that business at the time.
Okay, Pensacola, Navarre, but someplace we've been going for the last few years because we're fortunate enough to have, Chase has a friend that owns a beach house in Port St. Joe.
Oh, yeah.
I love that area.
Yeah.
Mexico Beach, Port
the
St. Joe, St. George
armpit.
Island.
Right.
The armpit of Florida.
Yeah, no, we were actually going to buy in Mexico Beach, but we were there 3 weeks before Hurricane Michael
Really?
hit. And Rick and I were looking at properties, and there was actually a beautiful home right across the street. It would have been unattainable, absolutely.
Yeah.
After the hurricane, it would have been attainable.
Yeah.
Because we watched it, I mean, sadly, like go down the street.
Wow.
But then we'd sit on our balcony and have coffee and, dream of this house. But we were looking at homes, and again, Michael had other plans for us, and so we ended up looking for the next best place that was quiet and more residential, less touristy.
Yes,
that's how we
exactly.
found Navarre
Navarre
Beach.
is wonderful.
And
That's exactly why I like Port St. Joe, because it's not, it's, I mean, Cape San Blas is, but even just right off of it, and St. George Island.
Yeah.
I would love
We went to
be
St.
on
George for
Island.
20 years, I guess, or something like that. We used to vacation every year down there,
So
get a
pretty.
house right on the beach, and the whole family would go.
That
and-
state park.
Yeah, the state park's incredible. It used to be there was nothing on there. Now that big bridge is there. The new it's got a new bridge. It used to be a smaller little bridge, and there was just a little bitty store. You'd have to go to the Piggly Wiggly in Apalachicola.
Oh, wow. Oh, Apalachicola. I call that place Barnacle. It's Barnacle. I don't know if that's
It
even.
is Barnacle.
Any town that's got
I
a
do
Piggly
like it,
Wiggly.
though.
It's like,
Yeah, it's a little.
That's it.
Piggly
Well, then
Wiggly
again, my family's from
country.
New Orleans, and they had, well, it wasn't Barnacle, but Madisonville, Louisiana. There's definitely, that's like the Piggly Wiggly. Right?
Yeah.
Right after the
for sure.
bridge. Yeah.
What's Apalachicola is that old. I mean, it's still stuck in the 50s, you know, which is kind of that charm to it.
But I want to take they have like a swamp tour there, which I'm
Oh.
not really, I wouldn't say I'm a swamp person. Mosquitoes
Interesting.
love me, and so that makes me and like, gators.
Out
and-
of Apalachicola, there's a
Yeah.
swamp that goes up the bay or the river.
I don't know the details. We haven't, now we have the small kids. We got to wait a moment, but we learned about it from I think it was an art gallery. This guy was telling us about it. Yeah. So I like the nature. There's a plantation actually. Have you guys ever been? It's right outside the town. I mean, it's they've got a little botanical garden. You can go inside, and
that's cool.
I was a history major, so
I'm a history minor,
Are you?
but I love it. What's your
Yeah.
favorite period?
Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. I mean, I literally took anywhere from like ancient Greek and Roman history to obviously World War II is, I don't know why everybody's fascinated with that. I guess the Holocaust and everything is fascinating, but I
That's
really
my
like the
favorite.
civil rights period also.
Oh, interesting.
And confession, I've actually never been to that museum in Atlanta. The
Me either.
what is it even called? I'm blanking.
Has
But
to
it's
be
about
MLK
civil rights.
MLK
Right.
something.
Yeah, civil rights.
Yeah, that's an interesting time for sure. But World War II is mine
very interesting.
because I'm a paratrooper, because I'm a war veteran, and all that. So that's where paratroopers were, really kind of born and
right.
So
were
two
created.
conversations we've had with boat thing. I thought about Titanic. The paratrooper thing. Thought about Saving Private Ryan.
Right on.
I think those are two movies that made a huge impact on me
Yeah,
because
for
I still.
sure.
I mean, I cried my eyes out in
Yeah.
both of them, and I
Yeah.
still remember my mom going, "Oh no, do we need to turn it off?" Like I'm like, "No, I need to. I want to watch it."
No, I need a drink and a
it's
smoke,
such
though.
a gosh, it's such a
hand in hand.
yeah.
It is. I cry
Yeah.
still with Saving
Saving
Private
Private
Ryan.
Ryan, yeah.
Oh, for
Have you ever
sure.
been to, very random, but also not talking about the Holocaust, there's a museum in Kennesaw. It's by the Cracker Barrel. It's part of Kennesaw State, and it's called the Museum of History and Holocaust Education.
No, I've not been there.
You should
But I know
go.
of it,
It's
yeah.
it's in
It's
that
a
little
free-
shopping center right there on that little access road.
Yeah, and they have the continuing education
Yeah,
center there as
I know what
well.
you're talking about.
I actually interned there when I was in
Did
college.
you?
Yeah,
Did you go to KSU?
I did.
Yeah,
for after I did my Young Harris and Chat Tech thing, I ended up at KSU.
Your wild time.
Yeah, wild. Yeah,
Your wild in the woods time.
right. I still
mountains?
love the woods. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mountains.
Well, I'm a KSU alum.
Are you?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
1998.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
it was
love
I always like to say it was the first degree that said Kennesaw State University.
Oh, it was the very first.
It was actually. It was because it was Kennesaw.
Oh.
let's see, it was
Kennesaw
Kennesaw
College.
State College.
Yeah.
Well, it was Kennesaw College, then it was Kennesaw State College,
Mm-hmm.
and then my degree was like the first one that was Kennesaw State University.
I thought you were making a joke. Like,
No,
I was the
no,
first
no.
one to ever come out of Kennesaw. I was like, are you?
Are you
gotcha,
though?
I
Yeah,
gotcha.
really. No, not at all. But yeah,
That's funny.
I know, it was interesting. So, but yeah, when did
What
you
did
graduate?
you major in? You said you minored in history.
Yeah, so it's sociology. It's public and social
Okay.
services with
Yep.
a minor in history.
Could see that.
So it's sociology and
That makes
obviously
sense.
history.
Makes sense for you.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I just got something kind of like my philosophy in life. I got something. I wasn't looking to go, oh, I'll get this degree in IT and be a computer guy,
Yeah. Right.
whatever. I was like, I'm just going to do something I like,
Yeah.
you know. I think it was cathartic too, man. I was in my 20s. I was done with the Army. And so, I just wanted to go to school and get something I was interested in. I loved history. So
Yeah, I feel like if I could do it over, no, I wouldn't change anything. Obviously, I am where I am because of it. College, I feel like the pressure when you're young.
Yeah.
At least when I was young, I felt it was just so stressful. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. I got to go to college and I got to
you got to
figure it
learn
out.
it so early on.
My
We want our
God,
kids
right?
to learn it. And it's like, their frontal lobes haven't developed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you're planning your entire life.
I want to be an
Doesn't make
example
sense.
to my kids because my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. We're not working for a company. We're working for
Yes.
ourselves, which is scary and exciting.
Sure.
But also, I want them to know they don't have to go to college right after high school. You don't have to go.
That's
you
a
do
huge deal
whatever.
now is gap years. and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
or
starting to be a
whatever.
big
You want to
deal.
go to a trade school? You don't want to go. You want to go get
Yeah,
your real estate license?
for
I don't
sure.
know. Whatever. Which apparently you can major in real
I think
estate.
kids should not do it. In fact, I think it
No.
would be better. I mean, obviously they'd be a little older and a little wiser. I think you ought to go to work or do whatever
Right.
you want to do, but don't go right away. And then I got this theory, and I have no idea if this is even true, but couldn't you then just go sign up and go to Georgia? All these people get so pressured.
Yes.
Like,
To
oh
the
my God, to get in
acceptance, you gotta
Chez
have
or
this.
Tech.
Right.
Yes.
Go sign up. Go
Right.
after a year or two, you just sign up as a non-traditional student and
Yeah.
you just
And you just
enroll and you go.
Like who
Right,
says
well,
that's
like
not okay?
well, my 21-year-olds. So I have one.
Good.
You know,
Yeah.
you've met both. I've got
Oh,
one
yeah.
who was. I mean, all along she knew what she was going to do,
Yeah.
and she was college bound, and she's doing it.
know.
Sure.
She's
Great.
almost done with her junior year.
Yep.
Her twin, so
Yeah.
science project.
I love
but
it.
Her
Yeah.
twin, no interest in going to college. I did have him do a semester. I'm like, try it out. You know,
Yeah.
you can't. My grandfather always said, nobody can ever take your education away from you.
True.
That's
Whether
true.
you finish or not, nobody can take education away.
Right.
So just try it. If you don't like it, I'm not going to force you to go. It's
Right.
a waste of your time. It's a waste of my money,
Right.
to be quite honest. And he didn't like it. He was like, I want to work. And he is. He's a worker bee.
Right on.
And he'll figure out, I mean, he is an entrepreneur himself. And if he wants to do
is
something
awesome.
later that may help whatever career he gets into,
Yeah.
to help, refine skills within his business,
Yeah.
take courses, like you said, you can
Right.
go sign up. And
Yes.
you don't have to deal with all the
love it.
competitiveness just trying to get into
Right.
these universities.
Right.
Yep.
I got a
Kinda-
4.2.
Oh,
and
now
I
it's
did
a
this. and-
4.6, and you got to be in 20 different clubs and have a,
Right.
Oh, it's so
this and that.
exhausting.
And
I'd rather be the guy that went, and I was,
just going to walk on in
I
it.
went and served the military, and I
There
just
you go.
walked in. All
Right.
I did
Yeah.
sign up, and there's
Right.
there's no stress in that. And,
Right.
And it's funny because I got straight A's in college. And I love to tell the story. I quit high school. I
Interesting.
literally quit high school.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different, high
Yeah.
school and college. In
Oh.
college, you talk about it.
Yeah.
You discuss.
Yeah.
You don't just go, this is what it is.
No. But
when you're ready for
Standardized
it,
test.
though.
Well, when you're ready for it.
And
Yeah, I
that
quit
too.
high school, went to work right away, framing houses and doing stuff. I got my GED that weekend. It was
Wow.
so easy to go and take the test. I'm like, okay, I got it. It ain't a diploma. I'm not going to walk with my class. I could care less. I still see them and party with them every day
Sure.
and weekend. And then went to the military. And then I did KSU and straight A's. Loved it. Sat right
That's
up front. Was
awesome.
loving it,
Right. Right.
'Cause you were ready for it.
I was ready. I was more mature and I wanted it, and yeah, I can't imagine before. So
Yeah, maybe I wouldn't have
Yeah.
partied so hard if I had taken a moment.
probably.
Right.
Well, you would have partied before, probably. You would
Right.
have partied while you didn't
Right.
go,
Get
and
it
then when
out.
you went, you're all serious. Yeah,
Yeah,
get it
get
out.
out of my system.
Right.
Yeah, you got to get out of your system, I think.
I love it.
Well, ladies, listen, this was awesome, and thank y'all both for
Thank
doing
you.
it. And
Thank
so,
you.
what did y'all think? Because I know y'all are kind of a little bit nervous about it.
This is cool.
Yeah,
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
you're just talking, right? That's
I
a
may
great
have-
conversation. I
Yeah.
loved hanging
Oh,
out
yeah.
and doing it.
I mean, this is only my second time really doing something like this, so
Yeah.
I guess there's that. But yeah, it was Tim. It was like just chatting.
Yeah.
Just
So
chatting.
I'll they edit it and they send the podcast and the reels, and when they do, I'll forward them on to you guys, and y'all can use
Cool.
them in your social media or whatever.
That's
Sounds good.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
I love
thank
it.
y'all.